She's low-key terrified of how fast he's growing. Meanwhile, Siron is in the zone, just spamming attacks like a pro gamer. He's got 0 miss rate. Every single target? Absolutely toasted. A few moments later, the session finally wraps up. Siron's just wiping the sweat off his forehead with his sleeve, not even looking at the scoreboard on the wall. Time's up, level 19. 342 points. 0 seconds left. The crowd is going absolutely feral. Is that even real? A perfect score? Someone yells, 342 kills in 1 minute? That's God tier. Man, should I switch to light particles too? Another kid asks. Better not. That only works if you've got a brain like Siron's. Siron takes a breather, finally relaxing. All right, he thinks. Speed test? Consider it crushed. No more stressing about this exam. Nine's been watching the whole thing from the side with his arms crossed. Finally, he speaks up. The guy couldn't even use magic properly until now. But the second he clicks, 342 points. That's actually impressive. Iruki's just sitting there, totally unimpressed. That score is sloppy. Neen's like, what? It's his first time, man. That's legendary. Eriki stands up, flashing a shark-like grin. I mean, the points are sloppy, but the kid's definitely interesting. Suddenly, Iruki waves his hand at the professor. Yo, teach. I want to have a go. Atella and Neen both jump like they've seen a ghost. She's looking at him with pure concern. Iruki? You? Her eyebrows are practically touching from the stress. Look, just don't break anything. Okay? Promise? Siron's still wiping his face when he hears the buzz in the crowd. Wait, Iruki's going? He actually wants to practice? Siron's face puffs up in annoyance. Ugh, I really don't vibe with that guy's attitude. But then he pauses. Actually, I'm kind of dying to see what he does. Iruki strolls out to the center, like he owns the place. Total swagger. Everyone's eyes are glued to him as he takes his hands out of his pockets. He stands tall with a smug little smirk, and his shadow field starts swirling around him like a dark tornado. His mana field doesn't just spread, it rockets straight into the sky. He looks so full of himself, and the students are already whispering. Is he using a redirection-type speed shot? No way. That's a completely different league. Siron's eyes are wide as saucers. Wait, someone whispers. Is he going to take them out just by looking at them? No synesthesia? The targets appear, surrounding Eriki in a massive circle. He just tilts his head down, then snap. His mana field strikes out. Siron's brain is melting. Wait, did he just shrink the targets? Is that even allowed? How's he gonna? Siron stops mid-sentence, eyes popping out. Iruki's mana field bends into a massive Z shape, slicing through the heart of every target in the sky. It's absolute madness. All at once, every single target detonates. It's like a synchronized fireworks show. The entire crowd is just standing there, with their mouths wide open. Total silence. The board updates. Speed gun level 0 to 2. Score 13. 57 seconds left. This kid is a straight-up monster. Eriki's domain is literally snaking through the air, piercing targets left and right before turning them into fireworks. Siron is just standing there, totally frozen, watching the chaos unfold. It hits him right then. He doesn't even need to see the final tally to know Iruki is about to smoke his high score. His face goes stone cold. Up on the platform, Iruki looks down with a trash-talking smirk. If you're already catching flies with your mouth open, we're in trouble, he thinks. Yo, Siron. Then Iruki points a finger, shifting his domain into overdrive, zigzagging through the targets so fast they're exploding in patterns. The crowd is losing their minds. Holy hell, did he just hit the turbo button? That speed is illegal. Has Iruki always been this cracked? One student stammers. Siron just stares up, hand over his mouth, trying to process the madness. His brain is moving at 100 miles per hour. I get it now. He's not even tracking them with his eyes. This absolute monster is predicting the target's flight paths using pure motion equations. Siron watches the domain dance, realizing Eriki has turned the entire field into one giant math problem. But here's the kicker: even after calculating their moves, he's still catching every single target with those insane curved shots. Siren rubs his chin, whispering to himself, how is his field even moving that fast? It's impossible. Nen walks up, wearing a shark-like grin. Yeah, it's wild. But Eriki isn't just crunching a few hundred numbers up there. Siren looks over, totally confused. Wait, you mean he's doing thousands of calculations? Nen just laughs. Try millions. Siren's jaw hits the floor. No way. The screen flashes. Time's up. Level 24 cleared. Score, 548. The room erupts. No freaking way. Eriki is a straight-up beast. Our boy is just standing there in the most arrogant, goofy pose imaginable. Everyone's screaming, yo, why were you hiding these cheat codes from us? I mean, hitting tiny targets with curved shots while moving that fast? Is he even human? Atella watches him walk by, low-key impressed by that level of finesse. Iruki strolls right up to Siren, who's looking at him like he's a ticking time bomb. Iruki's like, so, was I worth the ticket price? Siren nods slowly. Yeah, that was incredible. I honestly didn't think anyone could curve a domain like that. Mad respect. Eriki just sticks his hands in his pockets, looking bored. That's it? Kind of a letdown. Siren blinks. Excuse me? I'm actually impressed you noticed the modularity. Iruki says, making Siron's face go pale. Then his eyes go sharp. You curious how I crunch millions of numbers without my brain melting? Siren's on guard. I am. But why tell me? Aren't we supposed to be rivals or something? Eriki just flexes. Doesn't matter. Even if I told you the secret, it's not like you could actually pull it off. Siren goes quiet. The crowd is whispering. What is the vibe with these two right now? Iruki scratches his head, looking away. It's nothing special. I just use logs and truncate the units. Basic stuff. Siren is vibrating with shock. Logarithms? You're telling me you use that as a main method? That's mental. The rest of the class is like, wait, what? Is he speaking English? That sounds insane. Siren's mind is racing. If he's using logs, the scale of those numbers would be absolutely massive. Even with shorthand math, the complexity would be a nightmare. It doesn't make sense. Then it clicks. This isn't just skill, it's savant syndrome. Eriki's a literal human calculator. Eriki raises an eyebrow. So, what's the move? Think you can take me? Siren snaps back. I'm not trying to beat anyone. This is just a test. Iruki covers his face, looking disgusted. Ugh, typical weakling talk. He gets dead serious. Listen, if you don't have the skills, give up on the dream and just keep pretending you're the best. He scoffs, because right now, you're not convincing anyone. Siren's blood is boiling, and if I beat you, that proves I'm right, doesn't it? Eriki snaps his fingers with a dark laugh. Sure, but you should know one thing. Compared to me, you're just a bug. Siren just repeats it, stunned. Even Nen is like, damn, the disrespect is real. Nen starts digging through his bag, thinking, man, this is getting juicy. All right, let's get it. Anyway, here's the breakdown for the speed fire test. Your score is based on how many targets you blast before the clock runs out. Level 01. Score 0. You've got exactly 1 minute. Every level, the heat turns up. Stage 1 is 10 targets, then 11, 12, 13, 14, you get the drill. But remember, miss just one target, and you're done. No next stage for you. Keep it clean or go home. Get this, the higher the level, the faster those targets move. If you can't keep your spirit field locked on, you're basically timed out and done for. It's a total pressure cooker. You don't clear them fast? No new targets for you, and your score takes a massive nosedive. Everyone's crowded around the board, eyes glued to the speed shooting results. Siren's there too, just taking it all in. He's doing the math, class 5 average is 400, and nobody's even smelled a score over 700 yet. Our boy's deep in thought, chin in hand. To hit 700, he can't miss a single shot. Not one. He's got to hit level 30 in 60 seconds flat. That means clearing a whole level every 5 seconds. Talk about intense. Now, all eyes are on Siron as he steps onto the platform. He gets serious. Eyes up, hand raised to the sky like a boss. Boom! Targets start exploding one after another, lightning fast. The other students are losing it, necks craned toward the ceiling. One guy's just floored, shouting, "Top of the class. Absolute legend." Siren spins, unleashing his power with eyes that could cut through steel. He's locked in. He swings his arm, guiding his spirit field, and the ceiling just erupts with the sound of targets being shredded. Those two guys who were chatting with him earlier? Yeah, they're standing there with their jaws on the floor. The guy in front gets all solemn. Siren isn't playing around anymore, he mutters. He doesn't even have to move his head to nail those shots. The guy behind him is scratching his head, like, how is that even possible? Then the scoreboard flashes. Time's up. Level 25, score 567. 0 minutes left. Someone gasps, and the sound echoes through the hall. In just 1 week, this guy boosted his score by 200 points. The clock hits 0, and the spirit field flickers out. Siren stands there, rubbing his left wrist and letting out a massive sigh of relief while the crowd goes wild. Then, he just turns and walks off. Way in the back, two dudes are whispering. Man, his firing speed is actual insanity, one says. If he locks on, that target is history. Period. His buddy nods. And his rapid fire? It's on a whole different level now. Swear he's popping off 4 shots a second. Siren wipes his sweat, glances back, and breathes out. He's exhausted but stoked. He's thinking to himself, how's that for a flex? I finally caught up to your score. He's low-key staring at Aruki in the back. Aruki just smirks, that I'm better than you grin, and casually stands up. He walks right past Siren toward the stage. Hands in his pockets, totally chill. My turn, he asks. Siren's heart starts racing as he watches him. Everyone's eyes are glued to the stage again. Siren's practically vibrating with tension, watching Aruki's every move. And yep, same story. Aruki's spirit field control is smooth as butter, just gliding around and obliterating everything in sight. Someone shouts out, look, his field is even smaller than before. It zips right over their heads, and everyone is just staring in pure awe. And he's even faster, the guy adds. Aruki's field curves through the air, weaving through targets and turning them into scrap metal. After a flashy display, Aruki wraps it up. He throws a finger gun at the sky, looking cool as hell. Done. The board flickers. Time's up. Level 25, score 568. 0 minutes left. Aruki doesn't even blink at the score, just walks away like it's nothing. The crowd, though, they're losing their minds. Aruki's score went up too. But wait, he's only 1 point ahead of Siren's new record? The whispering starts getting louder. Siren was so close, but a loss is a loss. Yeah, but did you see Siren's growth? It's exponential. He's gonna catch him soon. But Siren? He's spiraling. He watches Aruki's back, realizing that 1 point gap wasn't some lucky accident. Next day, same deal. They're still just 1 point apart. Siren hits 571, and Aruki hits 572. Day after that, 585 for Siren, 586 for Aruki. Still that cursed 1 point lead, and it keeps happening. 593 and 594. Aruki stands there with his back to everyone, looking over his shoulder with a smug-ass smirk. The other students are chanting his name. Aruki, Aruki, but Siron knows. The message behind that 1 point is loud and clear. He stands there in the middle of the crowd, eyes wide, staring at the stage in total shock. To beat me by exactly 1 point, you had to calculate everything perfectly from level 1. Siren's brow furrows as the realization hits him like a truck. Even without saying a word, the message was sent. Siron imagines Aruki standing on a massive, towering wall, looking down at him like he's an ant. He can crush someone like me whenever he wants. Siren just stands there, drowning in his own thoughts. Later on, at this fancy high-rise building, someone's voice pipes up. So, Aruki's taking the win this time, right? Turns out, it's a group of 3 students lounging around. One guy's sitting on the table, legs crossed, tilting his head. Hitting over 600 is impressive for Siron, though, says the guy on the left. It's just that Aruki is a literal beast. Another voice chimes in, sounding totally unimpressed. Honestly, Siron's just punching way above his weight class. Cut to Aruki. He's got his head on his hand, looking bored out of his mind, completely ignoring the two people sucking up to him. Hey, Aruki, you want to join our research group? Show us how you do it. What's your actual max score anyway? Siron is just sitting there, looking salty as hell while watching Aruki. He's majorly annoyed because it's obvious Aruki isn't even breaking a sweat. The guy is sandbagging. No cap. Siron realizes if he doesn't step it up, all his hard work is about to go up in smoke. Suddenly, Naso drops a hand on his shoulder, grinning like a total goofball. Chill, bro. We're rooting for you. Then he adds, actually, you're both my homies, so honestly, I don't care who wins. Siren just turns away, totally fed up. Dead serious, I'm so stressed I can't even tell if I'm chewing food or just pure anxiety. Nay leans in, resting his elbows on the table and acting all casual. Man, I feel for you, really. But as a spectator, this is straight fire. We're all dying to see which one of you lunatics actually breaks the record. Siren's like, wait, there's a record? Then he asks, how high we talking? Some legendary graduate or something? Nay just stares at him like he's lost his mind. Bro, please tell me you aren't clueless about your own girlfriend's score? Siron does a massive double take. Wait, what? Nay shouts, Amy, man, the queen herself, 987 points. Meanwhile, somewhere else on campus, probably right in front of that fancy two-story building, people are everywhere, and there's Amy pink hair, looking totally drained when Sorel spots her and starts yelling her name. Cyril rushes up, looking worried. Long time no see. You've lost weight, girl. Senior year must be a straight-up nightmare. Amy hands over a file with a tired smile, eyes looking like she hasn't slept in a week. You'll be here soon enough. Here's that info you wanted. The two of them grab a seat, popping open some drinks to finally catch up. Sorel's like, is the rank-up test truly that brutal? Amy takes a sip. It's not just hard. The standards are insane. Even a high score doesn't guarantee anything. Then she hits her with a cold look that would literally freeze lava. They'll rip apart every single thing you've ever done. Sorel's soul basically leaves her body. Oh man, that's terrifying. Amy just chuckles to calm her down. Relax. Even if it's the graduation class, it's basically just high-level grade 4 stuff. With your skills, you'll be fine. Sorel looks at her, eyes practically glowing with pure admiration. Asterisk. Dang, Amy's changed. Asterisk. She thinks. Asterisk. Her mental game is on a whole different level now. Asterisk. Then Amy speaks up. So, how's Siren doing lately? Sorel reacts like she just got hit by lightning. Oh, it's bad. Like, really, really bad. Wait, haven't you guys even met up? Are you even really dating? She keeps going. Anyway, things are getting spicy lately. Her voice echoes over the sounds of the fountain nearby. Amy looks bored, like she couldn't care less about the drama. So Eriki challenged him. Huh? She tells Cyril, who's stressing out, he did the same thing to me back in grade 5. Guy's a weirdo. He acts all whatever until he beats you. Then he uses that win to get inside your head and mock you. Sorel's confused. So he's like a genius hunter or some crazy combo like that. But what about our boy Siren? You're not gonna jump in and help him? Sorel's basically panicking for the guy. Amy just leans back on her hand, sipping her drink like a total boss. Why would I? He doesn't need me. Trust. Cyril screams, what do you mean our Siren? You're so heartless. How can you be so cold to your own man? Amy rolls her eyes, chewing on her straw. No, that's not it at all. Siren knows exactly what he's doing, she says confidently. Cut to Siren gasping, drenched in sweat. He just finished the rapid-fire test. The crowd goes wild when the board flashes. Level 30 reached. Score, 700. Time's up. Siren's absolutely spent. He's hunched over, hands on his knees, ripping his tie loose just to get some air. Man really gave it his all. Two guys in the crowd are just standing there, jaws hitting the floor. No way a grade 5 student just dropped a 700. The guy's a total beast. A straight-up monster. Everyone's losing their minds. To hit that score, you gotta clear 10 levels in 10 seconds. Absolutely insane. Siron's limping, completely drained. Eruki strolls up, hands in his pockets, acting all smug. Congrats. 700? Not bad, I guess. Siron just stares back, lungs still burning from the effort. I just had to prove something to you. Eruki just smirks as he walks past him. Yeah, I know. Sorel's voice cuts back in. So, can Siron actually win? Amy looks at the sky, totally nonchalant. Who cares about winning or losing? It's just a test. Sorel looks at her like she's lost it. Wait, what? You're just flexing that undefeated Amy status, aren't you? Everyone knows you're the one who crushed Eruki's 987 record. Amy just gives her a blank stare. Nah, I never actually competed against that guy. I just ignored all his petty baiting. Then she looks away, completely unfazed. If we actually faced off, I'd probably take the L, she says, dead serious. Serial's brain basically short-circuited. Like, wait, what? Her scream echoed through the whole hall. Back to the digital realm, and the scoreboard is literally screaming game over. A massive 701 points in 0 minutes flat. The crowd is absolutely losing their minds. Unreal. That's Eruki's final score. He's just standing there, cool as ice, staring at the results like it's just another Tuesday. Someone yells at the top of their lungs he did it again by just a single point. How does he hit 700 and stay so chill? Everyone's wondering, does Eruki even have a limit? Siron is standing in the middle of the mob, totally shook. He thought he was ready, but now he's drowning in doubt. He looks up at Eruki, eyes burning with frustration. Deep down, he knows he's not winning this one. He tosses his bag on the desk like it's total trash. Now he's just sitting there in silence, trapped in his own head on a tiny bed inside that massive, empty room. Sunlight is hitting his face, but he's not feeling the vibe. He stares out the window, brooding. Only 3 days of break left before the big exam hits. He buries his face in his hands with a heavy sigh. There's no way he can figure out how to take down a monster like Eruki in that little time. Should I just quit? It's just one test, right? But then, those words hit him like a truck. Only weak losers talk like that. He goes quiet, scowling as those words eat at him. He remembers Eruki's cold, arrogant face. If you don't have the skills, stop dreaming big and acting like you're the main character. Asterisk, ouch. Asterisk. His expression flips, something raw and desperate flashes in his eyes. Every single L he's taken lately starts playing like a movie in his head. Just a straight-up cycle of pain and unfairness. And the worst part, he knows nobody would ever believe his side of the story. Then, the ultimate trauma hits the memory of being a kid and seeing bodies scattered across a dark, filthy alleyway. He strikes a match and lights a single candle. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, he stares at the flame like he's trying to see the future. Did I get soft playing noble at this fancy school for too long? Because honestly, every word Eruki said was straight facts. He realizes the truth: the world doesn't give a damn about what you have to say if you don't have the power to make them listen. Suddenly, Siron's eyes glow a sharp blue. He's not quitting. Not today. He straightens his back and locks in, ready to blow past Eruki's level. There's no other choice but to master the numbers. Tiny droplets of energy start merging, forming massive digits that hang in the air. A question sparks deep in his soul. What even times is times a number? In his mind, he's floating in a void made of pure math. What's the sequence? He gathers the numbers together, weaving them into a blinding sphere of light right in his palm. He holds it up, mesmerized. What's at the core of all this? Then he shakes it off. Don't think, just move. He thrusts his hand toward the sky and lets the energy go. If he gets lost in his own head, he'll miss the big picture. He thinks, letting his arms go limp as he drifts. Soft blue sparks rain down around him. As he reaches out to feel them, they shatter into a million tiny diamonds of light. It's a literal blizzard of glowing particles now, completely swallowing Siren up in the void. He's suspended in a glowing blue abyss, eyes wide. How far can I actually count? He wonders. I can do this. He shoots upward, chasing the source of the radiance. How far does this rabbit hole really go? He hits a barrier that looks like rippling water with a massive vortex in the middle. He dives right in, heart racing. Is this it? The end of numbers? No way. Math is infinite. He presses his hands against the rippling wall, totally baffled. Then what the hell is this place? Suddenly times crack. Asterisk. The entire dimension starts to splinter, like glass. His jaw hits the floor. Even the ground beneath him starts to shatter. He looks down, eyes popping. Wait, what? The floor gives way completely, leaving a massive, gaping hole. He's just frozen there, completely lost in the sauce. Asterisk, snap back to reality. Asterisk, he jolts awake, gasping for air. I was there. I know I was. But what was that? Just a hallucination? The candle is gone, just a puddle of wax left. He stares at it, mind blown. Levette? Was it really just a dream? That pull felt way too real. Siren sits there, checking his own hands before glancing out the window in total shock. It's hard to explain, but numbers, they aren't just for counting. He looks at the moon shining over the castle, feeling like a different person. Then it hits him he wasn't just napping. 40 hours had vanished since he first closed his eyes. The next day is go time. The #1 training grounds are packed for the Class 5 rapid-fire gun exam. 2 fighters stand in the arena while the crowd fills every single seat. The scoreboard on the wall is primed and ready. Man, I'm shaking, someone mutters, exhaling hard. Those same 2 nervous dudes are at it again. The guy on the left looks confused. Why are the underclassmen even here? The other guy scowls. To watch the pros, obviously. We used to do the same thing. Suddenly, everyone turns toward the entrance. Whoa, look at that. Someone gasps. Why are the Class 4 seniors showing up to a junior exam? Sariel is right there in the mix. One student literally grabs his head, crying. The pressure is too much. His buddy tries to calm him down. Yo, chill. They're all just here for the main event, Siron versus Eriki. Obviously, the scrubs in the back don't even breathe when Sariel and her squad hijack their seats. She just gives a cheeky grin and waves at the poor guy she just booted. Much appreciated. Babe, the dude she kicked out is literally crying. Yeah, sure thing. He checks the schedule for today. It's packed. Then, a voice cuts through the noise. The main event is on the board. Group 20, Eriki versus Siron. This pink-haired bro is already asking, place your bets. Who's taking the W? The guy in the middle strokes his chin like a philosopher. Eriki's leading for now. But Sariel? She just points a finger up, all confident. Way too early for that talk. She flashes them a mischievous smirk. Remember, this is a team test. One wrong move and that scoreboard flips instantly. In a real-world scrap, Siren wins. Period. She's dead serious. And just like that, 1 minute is up. Round 1 is over. The guy on the left takes it with 427 points. He's flashing peace signs like he's a god. Easy money. I won. The loser is salty as hell. I passed the test. So why do I feel like such a loser right now? Up in the stands, Sariel is biting her nails. Wait, what should I even do? I'm actually catching feelings of anxiety here. Another minute, another round done. This time, it's Group 19. The guy is wiping off sweat, low-key celebrating. I actually crushed that. Atella stands behind the desk. Solid work. Group 19. She flips the page with a mysterious smile. Now, for the grand finale. Group 20. Step up. The second she says it, the crowd goes absolutely nuclear. The roof is practically shaking. Eriki and Siron walk out and take their positions. Siron, Eriki, the names are echoing off the walls like a chant. Atella's heart is actually racing. Eruki's just standing there, soaking in the hype. Siren? He looks a bit too locked in. One of the guys tries to crack a joke, but his friends immediately shush him. Zip it, then dead silence. The two of them are standing right in the eye of the storm. Atella's voice cuts the tension. You've got exactly 1 minute. She's standing right behind them, keeping it professional. Everyone's watching, so give him a show. Siren gives a sharp nod, totally focused. Iruki? He looks bored. Like this is just another Tuesday. All right then, Itella says. Let's get it started. The wall monitors light up yellow for Iruki, red for Siron. Beep! The yellow light hits, and the stadium goes silent. All eyes on the field. Siren starts counting in his head, eyes glowing like a fever dream. Then beep! His red light hits. It's go time. Both of them activate their spirit zones. This isn't a test. It's a war. Two fighters, two completely different styles. Eriki's moves are wild and flowing, but Siren, he's surgical, precise, solid. The crowd is getting a front row seat to greatness. Holy hell, look at them. Everyone's losing it. They're both sitting at level 12. Total parity. Only 58 seconds in, and someone screams. The second they started, every single target just evaporated. Siren's eyes are throwing off blue sparks. He's channeling every ounce of his zone into his palms. The audience is roaring with pure respect. They're both cracked. Iruki sneaks a glance at Siren while firing off attacks. Someone notices Iruki's spirit zone is shrinking. He's concentrating his power. And yeah, Iruki is getting scary. His strikes are getting sharper, faster, absolutely shredding everything in his path. Serial's friend crosses his arms. So that's the legendary Iruki power. Man's a beast. Serial's face goes stone cold. Now I get why Ami called him a monster. She looks at Siron. Then her eyes nearly pop out of her head. Wait, what? Siren's score is higher? She's staring at the board like it's lying. Siren's at 121. Iruki's at 119. She starts screaming at the field. Eriki, you absolute clown. Are you trolling again? You think you can just flip the script at the last second? You're actually insane. But inside, Eriki is low-key laughing. Everyone's got it wrong. He's grinning like a maniac while he attacks. Trust me, he thinks. I've been going all out from the jump. He glances at Siren. This guy, in just 3 days. What the hell did he do to himself? Eriki watches Siren's terrifying focus. Up on the stage, Itella hasn't blinked once. She's thinking, I see it now. The first time you walk a path, it feels miles long. But the second time, you know every shortcut. She watches Siren, her mind racing. Counting is the same way. But you've already gone way beyond that. Siren. Eriki looks at him with a wild, crooked grin. This dude is straight up mental. Siren snaps his arm forward. He's focusing his spirit zone into his palms, sniping targets like a pro. One after another, boom. He stares at his hand, his internal voice cold as ice. Module. Released. Itella is shook. She realizes what's happening. He's grouping numbers and calculating everything simultaneously. That's a high-tier strat. You can only pull that off if you've reached the absolute limit of conscious calculation. She remembers him walking in. To pull this off, he didn't just start now. He had to be in a state of super focus before he even stepped onto the field. And because of that, he's a machine right now. Fast, accurate, and completely unstoppable. One slip. That's all it takes. Siren knew if he lost focus for even a millisecond, this entire complex mana matrix would go up in smoke. Lock in. No matter what. He grit his teeth, forcing his brain to overclock. Inside his mind, a streak of golden lightning was racing toward a distant light. On the wall, the scoreboard was flickering like crazy as their totals climbed. Siren was holding on with 469, but Iruki was breathing down his neck at 432. The gray-haired guy next to Serial literally jumped. The gap is widening. Serial and the girl beside her slammed their hands down and stood up, screaming at the top of their lungs. Siren pushed forward. The entire stadium was on its feet. Pure chaos. This blonde girl with twin tails was shrieking toward the arena. Go faster. Push it. The atmosphere in the stadium? Absolute electricity. Both of them were firing off high-tier spells with insane speed. The crowd was losing their minds, cheering for every explosion. Araki blasted another target into dust, thinking, hey, I guess a little crowd hype doesn't hurt. His opponent finally ditched his calculated style to go all in on one move. Aruki glanced at Siren and smirked. All right, kid, I'll give you that. Siren, your spirit is just as cracked as mine. Then, Aruki clenched his fist, whispering, but my gamble? It's on a whole different level. His eyes went cold as he focused his spirit zone. Suddenly, blue sparks erupted around him. The crowd went dead silent, eyes wide with total confusion. People were literally rubbing their eyes to make sure they weren't hallucinating. Then, someone screamed, look at Araki's score. His points weren't just climbing, they were teleporting. He shot past Siren like he was standing still, his level jumping an entire tier. The guys standing with Nen were catching flies with their open mouths. Wait, Siren hasn't even slowed down though? The other guy pointed out that the rhythm of Aruki's explosions had turned into something unnatural. No way, someone muttered. Suriel's trio stood up, eyes glued to the field. The pink-haired girl looked baffled. Is it just me? Or does Araki's spirit zone look weird? Suriel frowned. I see it. That's not a ghosting effect. Suriel pointed and shrieked. He's using 2 spirit zones at once. 2 massive layers of mana were swirling around Aruki like a hurricane. The stadium exploded in shock. Is that even legal? Etella's mind started racing as she watched the madness unfold. Dual zones. The ultimate sign of a split-mind partitioning. She couldn't believe a student was actually pulling this off. He was running 2 separate spell chains simultaneously while recording the whole process. Her eyes were fixed on him. Even with Savant Syndrome, the odds of having this kind of talent are 1 in a billion. To think a kid had been hiding this kind of god-tier power all along. Etella whispered to herself. Another monster just joined the academy. Suriel and her friends couldn't look away from the carnage below. Ami was right, she muttered. Aruki's dual zones were shredding through targets, filling the entire arena with light. Suriel's voice trembled. Aruki is a literal freak. The boy thrust his hands forward, steering both zones to obliterate everything in sight. Then the number stopped. Aruki hit 845. Siren was stuck at 692. Someone choked out, "It's over." Nen's group watched in silence. The guy on the left side. I guess we all saw that coming. Siron just got hit with the worst luck possible. Meanwhile, Siron stood there, struggling just to breathe. I still couldn't do it, he thought, feeling the weight of the loss. Despite betting everything, he felt like he was drifting toward a cliff in a nightmare. You could see it in his eyes. He'd given everything he had, and now he was just empty. I'm not even half as good as Aruki, he told himself, the bitterness stinging more than the exhaustion. He'd tried so hard. His hands went limp for a second before he slammed them into fists. Gave it my all? Really? Sweat dripped from his face as his head hung low. Then, his eyes snapped open. No, I was scared. Scared to see if he truly belonged on this path. He reached out into the void of his mind and punched the barrier in front of him. That fear? It's done. Siron's fist left a literal crack in his mental landscape. He pulled back and swung again with everything he had. He grit his teeth, staring at the fracture with absolute conviction. I'm breaking through this myself. A massive impact shattered the barrier, and suddenly, the void was flooded with a blinding light. Siron stared, mesmerized. The brilliant white glow reflected off his face, turning the darkness of his mind into high noon. Back in the arena, Etella jumped, her head whipping toward Siren. What is that? Siron couldn't believe his own eyes. Streaks of golden light were piercing through every target with surgical precision. The beams were incredibly thin, but the power behind them? Unreal. The crowd was paralyzed, jaws literally hitting the floor. Someone pointed and screamed, "Yo, look at Siren. That light is getting blinding." Suriel's crew is losing their minds, looking like they're about to dive headfirst into the arena. But Siren? Total silence. He's just standing there, head hanging low like he's completely drained. Suddenly, the light exploding from him gets so insanely intense that the green targets literally scorched into black voids. And just like that, bam, they're pulverized. Not a single scrap of armor left. Siren didn't even have to move. His raw energy did all the dirty work for him. Both their scores are absolutely skyrocketing now, but it looks like Siron is pulling ahead of Iruki with some serious main character energy. Iruki glances over, hacking up a dry cough before grit teeth grinning to himself. Doesn't matter how fast you are, my brain is still gonna outcalculate yours. Only 5 seconds left on the clock. Iruki is locked in, pure confidence. He's convinced he can crunch every single number on this planet before the buzzer hits. His spirit zone is accelerating like crazy. 4 seconds left. Iruki slams into a target just as the timer ticks down to 3. He's feeling himself now, thinking the win is in the bag. 2 seconds left. Just one more beat to go. 1 second. That's it. Iruki's face contorts, teeth gnashing as he screams internally, "Damn it, why is time moving like molasses?" The second the match ends, the whole crowd leaps to their feet, roaring at the top of their lungs. Iruki just thumps onto the floor, totally spent. Game over. He checks his score with a smug little smirk. Not bad at all. Wait, did I actually just pull this off? 1,247 points. Strong. He looks over at Siren, wondering if the guy even survived, but his smug face quickly turns into pure confusion. Siron is still a statue. Suddenly, someone rushes in, grabbing his shoulders and shaking him like a rag doll while yelling his name. Siron finally snaps out of it, gasping for air like he's been underwater. Serial slowly lets go, eyes wide with worry. "Han Siron, are you okay? Talk to me." Everyone starts crowding around them, and Siren finally mumbles, "Serial, wait, the test results. What happened?" She spins around, looking at the scoreboard on the wall with a massive, joyful grin. "You won, you crazy genius. The victory is yours." Siren stares up, mouth hanging open in shock. She keeps going, "You didn't just win, you shattered the record. Your final score is 1,273. The other students pile on, cheering in unison. "Congrats, Siren. You're a beast." He's just standing there, dazed. "Did I actually win?" Out of nowhere, Iruki walks up. "Yo, Siron." Siron looks at him, his eyes filled with total disbelief. The whole room goes quiet. Then Iruki drops this. "You know AoE magic is technically banned in speed shooting tests, right? Just saying." Siren freezes, mouth shut. Asterisk. Oh crap. He's right. The entire arena was basically swallowed by my light show back there. Asterisk. Iruki lets out a laugh. "Ha, you really are a piece of work." He jams one hand in his pocket and holds the other out for a handshake. He smirks. "Just because there's a light flash doesn't mean it's light magic. I know how the system works. I'm just messing with you. Congrats on the win." The guys in the back lose their minds, screaming in total shock. No way. Iruki actually admitted he got beat? Is the sun rising in the west today? Siren takes the hand, pulling himself up as he speaks. "So, you ready to admit I was right? That life is way more important than some research project?" Iruki gets serious. "Yeah, you were right." Siren blinks, not believing his ears. "Wait, for real?" Iruki just stays calm. But don't get it twisted. An explosion doesn't automatically mean violence. Everyone else is just standing there, totally lost. Iruki continues his lecture. An explosion is just a massive buildup of energy, pure and simple. It only becomes violence if the person using it actually intends to hurt someone. Serial and the others are just blinking, completely confused. She tries to chime in with a "but wait," but Siren isn't even paying attention to her anymore. He frowns, pushing back. But humans are the ones controlling that energy. If it's that powerful, it's always going to be dangerous, isn't it? Iruki counters, saying it's the user's job to keep that monster energy on a leash. "Speaking of which, I've got a favor to ask you." Siron gives him a confused look. Iruki's face goes dead serious. "From here on out, you have to take responsibility for me." Iruki's voice is low and heavy. An explosion is just raw power, uncontrolled energy, chaos in its purest form. But if we can actually master it, that same energy could save 100,000 lives. He's dead serious about this. Suddenly, a strange light pierces the pitch-black sky, shining down on the city below. Aruki stares Siren down. A new era is starting. We aren't just fighting nature anymore. Though, obviously, I'm not usually the guy with high and mighty ideals. Siren stays quiet for a beat. Why didn't you just say that from the start? If you had, I wouldn't have spent all this time misunderstanding you. The crowd is still huddled up, whispering about the two of them. Araki answers, I needed you to realize where you belong. Are you the one who holds the power? He stands tall, challenging him. Or are you just another person who only knows how to be afraid? Siren watches him, his brain finally clicking. Asterisk, I get it now. Asterisk, Aruki isn't arrogant, he's terrified. Terrified that his own strength will spiral out of control. Siren sees the pain in his eyes. By beating me, you proved your will is stronger. That makes you the only one who can stop me if I ever go off the rails. Araki looks at Siren's shocked face, speaking straight from the heart. If you can't handle me, then I'm not taking another single step forward. The guys standing behind him were losing their minds. They honestly couldn't tell if this kid was being serious or just straight up tripping. Good grief. Is this guy deadass? He's really gonna sit there and not move because he's scared of his own power? Meanwhile, Siren was just standing there like a deer in headlights. He had zero clue what was going through the other guy's head. He looked at Aruki, wondering if he was just living in some main character fantasy or if he was actually being real for once. But looking into Aruki's eyes, yeah, that fear? It was the real deal. So Siron stepped up, grabbed Araki's hand, and dropped the heavy line. Look, I promise. His eyes were ice cold and determined. If you actually lose it, I'll be the one to stop you. Suddenly, the whole crowd let out a collective, wait, what? Then there's Nate. This absolute legend comes charging in with tears streaming down his face, yelling their names like it's the end of a drama. He wraps his arms around both of them in a massive bear hug, grinning like a proud dad. You guys are so freaking cool. I'm so hyped to have you guys as my bros. In the back, Etella finally breaks the vibe. Siren, over here. We need to talk. Siren just looks back, all polite, and goes, on my way, Professor. Araki is basically turning blue because Nate is hugging him way too tight. Siron follows Etella out, but then she suddenly grabs his shoulders and her voice gets real low. It totally caught him off guard. Siren. She's looking at him like he just did something incredibly stupid. Do you even have a single clue what you just signed up for? You're really trying to leave this place? Siren starts stammering, completely caught in his feels. Wait, Professor Etella, She cuts him off, frowning hard. The place you're trying to enter, if you go there, you won't be Siren anymore. You'll lose yourself. Siren just stares at the floor, feeling like a total failure. I'm sorry, Professor. I didn't think it was that dangerous. Etella softens her voice a bit. Siren, listen to me. She looks down, her voice getting all mysterious. The place you're stepping into, it's beyond any math or logic. It's the infinite zone. Most mages call it the immortal function. She locks eyes with him again. But our priests? They have a different name for it. They call it nirvana. Siren's heart nearly stopped. Nirvana? Humans can reach for the infinite, sure, but the people who actually touch it, they usually turn into nothing. He started thinking back to that place, beyond the numbers, that weird mask he punched, that massive, endless void. It felt like something was grabbing him, pulling him forward into the dark. He couldn't shake the feeling that it was sucking him in. Fast forward to Siron, suddenly bolting upright in bed, gasping for air and clutching his head. He stumbles out of bed, leaning on his desk, thinking, not that nightmare again. Ever since he touched that place, he's been having the same terrifying dream every single night. He felt wrong, like his skin didn't fit. He reached for a glass of water, but his hand was shaking so bad he knocked the whole thing over. Suddenly, his entire body started vibrating. He slammed one hand on the table just to stay standing, while the other one gripped his chest like his heart was trying to escape. He was straight up terrified. He'd asked Professor Etella about it, but neither of them could find anything physically wrong with him. He stared at the spilled water on the desk, his mind racing. What the hell is actually happening to me? Later that afternoon, while the birds were heading home, Siren's voice echoed through the room. No cap, guys. I think I'm literally haunted. He's slumped in a chair, looking like a total zombie from zero sleep. Eruki and Nate just stare at him, wondering what kind of crazy talk this is. The three of them were just chilling in their regular hangout spot. Nate's sitting there, scratching his head and laughing. Man, you looked so serious I was actually worried for a second. Siron just sighs, looking exhausted. I am being serious, man. Besides, didn't you say this was the Spiritual Science Research Group? Eruki says, sitting there with his arms crossed and a smug little smirk. I guess the level of stress for the guy who beat me is just on a different planet. But seriously, did you actually think he was being for real? Siren just gives a weak laugh and looks at Eruki. Did I just ask a dumb question? Eruki leans on his hand, getting thoughtful. Well, not exactly. That dream you mentioned. You said you were standing in a massive, pitch-black empty space, right? Siren just nods as Eruki keeps going. And all the stars in the sky were being sucked into one spot? Siren just mumbles a yeah. Then Eruki's voice drops. And then, that barrier finally shattered. A massive burst of light exploded everywhere. Didn't it? Siren's eyes go wide. Wait. Yeah. Exactly like that. It moved like a heartbeat. Eruki leans back, looking all smart. Considering the scale and speed of that space, the numbers involved are way beyond what anyone on this continent could even imagine. So now Eruki's got a new title, the Spiritual Society's resident hater and critic. If we're being for real and pretending that place actually exists, Eruki gets dead serious, then it would have to be somewhere out in deep space. Nate and Siron both jump out of their seats, shouting, outer space? Siren looks at him, totally skeptical. You mean the space they talk about in those old science books? How could I dream about something I've never even seen? Nate just stares at him with those sharp eyes. Actually, maybe not. He holds up his hand, looking way too serious for a guy like him. I've heard some stories about this. Siren's just confused. Nate? And yep, Nate got a new title too. Nate, the Spiritual Society's resident guy who asks way too many questions. He starts telling this creepy story about a death row prisoner from 200 years ago who was part of a soul-swapping experiment. If a human soul could actually be turned into physical matter, there's a theory that electricity could actually rip it apart. They called it a closed circuit, basically. They'd lock a person in an iron box and blast them with massive amounts of current. So, check this out, those twisted experiments were so messed up they got banned years ago, but one death row inmate actually survived the madness. A month later, his consciousness just snapped back. But hold up, let's pause right there because it gets even weirder. Our boy starts spilling tea about countries he's never even seen or heard of, knowing stuff no regular human should. Siren is straight up tripping. He asks, is that for real? While leaning in, totally lost in thought. Turns out, every crazy thing that inmate said was 100% facts. Siren just gives him this look, totally spooked. His soul got ripped apart by electricity, turning him into some kind of quantum battery. Is that why he's picking up signals from across the globe? It's a wild theory, but that creepy, tingly feeling the inmate had, that's what we call a spiritual sixth sense, homie. Hearing that makes Siren's skin crawl. He grabs his arms, shaking, and blurts out, wait, that tingly feeling? I've got that too. Suddenly, Eruki jumps up, nearly giving Siron a heart attack, and shouts, that's it. That's why you're seeing the freaking universe, Siron. If electricity is messing with your soul and causing some quantum glitch, then you might actually be breaking the laws of space and time. Siren is just standing there, brain melting. Wait, space and time? Eruki pinches his fingers together, like he's holding a tiny grain of salt. We're talking microscopic. Dude, smaller than an electron. Could something totally beyond human logic be happening right under our noses? It's a world of pure luck and vibes where you can't see or measure anything at once. If your soul weighs less than a tiny atom, Eriki starts imagining these glowing electrons spinning around, and he just keeps going. The whole connection between space and time? Totally meaningless. Then he points at the ceiling, looking like a total boss. He tells Siron that sensing the outside world is actually possible, then grins and asks, "So, what's the verdict? Genius. I think we're talking about you, man." Siren screams, totally hyped. "You actually figured it out? That's insane. You guys are legit." Siren cheers, impressed by their big brain energy. N just flashes a toothy grin like it's no big deal. "What, you surprised?" Eriki laughs, acting all cool with his arms crossed, saying it's all just part of the job. "But if we're gonna do this right, I need the real tea. Why haven't you told us the truth yet?" Siron is totally lost, but Eriki's face goes stone cold. "During that speed test, your spiritual light went haywire. And you said the nightmares have been hitting you every night. Come on, spill it. What's going on?" Eriki really wants to help, so Siren sighs and looks down. "Fine. Professor Atella told me some pretty heavy stuff." Once the secret is out, N literally screams, "The immortal function? What kind of final boss name is that?" She asks Eriki if he knows the deal, but he just lets out this low, creepy chuckle before losing it and laughing at the sky. "I get it now. Of course, it's the immortal function," Iruki says. "My old man used to talk about this. It's the ultimate dream for math geeks. A single formula that's basically the cheat code to the entire universe." Siren and N are looking pretty worried now. Siren stammers, "But the professor said that thing is dangerous as hell." Iruki just throws his arms wide. "Duh. Having everything means you've basically got nothing. It's total chaos." He hides a smirk behind his hand. "I see it now. To take me down, you're gonna need that immortal function." Siron just beams at him. Siren thinks to himself, watching them joke around. It's weird, but seeing them like this actually makes him feel safe. "I'm in," Siren says firmly. "Sign me up for the spiritual science research group." Eriki and N both bolt upright, hyped as can be. N is like, "For real?" And Siren nods. "Yeah, I'm tired of being scared of the shadows. I want to study this thing and fight it head on." He stands up, smiling big. "With you guys, I know we'll find the answers." N throws her hands in the air, yelling, "Let's go. Immortal function or whatever. We're gonna crush it. We finally got a full squad. We're an official group again. Baby." She's almost crying because they're finally getting that research money. But Iruki wonders, will the professor even let Siren join? Their reputation is kind of trash, but N just waves a piece of paper with a smirk. "Trust me, I'll sneak him in. He won't suspect a thing." Siron and Eriki just stare at her, totally in sync. "Wait, is this even legal?" N just grabs them both by the neck, grinning. "Don't sweat it. Let's hit the cafe and throw a party for our new recruit." "My treat," she yells. Eriki just looks at her sideways. Aren't you like, completely broke, though?" Siren doesn't say anything, just glances back with a small smile. This is his squad now. His home. He looks around the messy lab and tells himself he'll start cleaning it up one of these afternoons. But things aren't looking good. Someone has N's application form in their hand, and they look absolutely furious. Oh boy. Meet the scariest professor on campus Sienna. She's got this terrifying look on her face, staring at a piece of paper like she's about to incinerate it with her mind. Suddenly, someone pipes up. It's Professor Seven, stumbling along with a stack of papers piled all the way to his nose. He glances back, totally oblivious to the danger zone he's entering. "Oh, that? Just another club application," he mutters. Every time the holidays hit, these things just start flooding in. He's yapping so much he doesn't even notice a paper slipping out and hitting the floor. Most of these kids just join to farm some extra credits and then bail anyway, he says, just wanting to get it over with. Sienna spots the stray paper and calls him out. "Professor, you dropped something." He jumps out of his skin, shouting, "Oh no," as she reaches down to check the form. "Wait, what is this?" Seven leans in to get a better look, his brow furrowing. "Wait, is this the group I think it is?" He stammers, looking back and forth between the paper and the professor. They both stare down at the application for what has to be the most notorious club in school history. It's the Supernatural Soul Research Group, the N Group. The professor sounds like he just saw a ghost himself. The Supernatural Souls? Seriously? Those guys? Then his eyes scan down to the name, Arian Siron. He does a double take and looks at her. Wait a sec. Isn't this Siron? Our star student? Sienna's face goes completely dark. She doesn't say a word, she just crushes that paper into a wrinkled mess and lets out a smile that is legitimately nightmare fuel. Cut to the countryside, tucked away in the low-rolling hills. Deep in the woods sits a quiet little house, but there's a voice echoing out from inside. I'm so sorry, Professor Atella. You were right in the middle of training. Sienna is sitting there cross-legged at a tea table, smiling with her eyes closed as she takes a sip. Atella looks at her, knowing her friend didn't travel all this way just for the view. If you're out here, it's gotta be serious. Turns out, this cozy spot is Atella's secret hideout. The air goes quiet for a second. The two of them just sit there, facing each other, slowly sipping their tea and letting the tension simmer. The vibes outside are totally peaceful, but inside, Sienna sets her cup down and drops the bomb. So, Siron joined a research group. Atella lights up, totally missing the red flags. Oh, he finally joined a club? That's great. Which one? Sienna leans in, her face getting dead serious. The Supernatural Soul Research Group. Atella takes a sip of tea and literally freezes mid-gulp. She almost chokes, tea nearly splashing out of the cup. Then Sienna starts shaking, her voice trembling with pure dread. You know the history. Even before we were professors, that group was famous for being a complete disaster zone. I get bombarded with complaints from parents every single day. She's spiraling now. Why that group? Out of all the clubs, why that one? Siron is the future of this academy. He should be grinding, not hanging out with those weirdos. Atella just sits there, holding her cup and giving a goofy little smile. But hasn't that group changed lately? She holds up a finger, trying to stick up for the N squad. The current president is Neen, right? He's a good kid, super social, gets along with everyone. I'm sure it'll be totally fine. Besides, all the real troublemakers graduated ages ago. I mean, the current head of the Tomia Magic Association used to run that group back in the day. She keeps going, all cheerful and optimistic. I'm sure they're just sharing ideas and studying hard together. You're overthinking it. Meanwhile, back at the club, Neen is literally face down on a couch, looking like he hasn't moved in days. He spots Siron and gives a lazy wave. Oh, hey Siron, you're here. Siron is standing in the doorway, cringing and using his sleeve to block the clouds of dust swirling around. He is not feeling the vibe at all. He looks up at the ceiling, watching dust bunnies fall like snow. Don't you guys have, classes to go to? He asks, waving the dust out of his face. I'm feeling kind of under the weather today, Neen says, crossing his legs and staying glued to the couch. Yeah, definitely not feeling great. Then there's Aruki, who's totally locked into a chess game on the table. He doesn't even look up. I'm always skipping class, man. You know this. He's getting hyped over his own moves. All right, checkmate in one. His hands are moving like a blur, controlling two pieces at the same time like a pro. Siron just stands there, completely speechless. What did he just walk into? He looks at the mountain of trash on the right and sighs. He literally just cleaned this place, and it's already a dump again. Guys, you're not studying, you're not researching, you're literally just hiding from school. Huh? Neen looks up, totally unfazed. Look, you can regret joining, but you're not allowed to quit. No backsies. Siron. Siron just sighs, peels off his school jacket, and mumbles. Whatever, I'm studying. He grabs his books, finds a spot at the round table, and tries to tune them out. Araki and Neen go silent, just watching him. Neen watches from the couch, thinking, man, this kid really is the ultimate teacher's pet. Suddenly, Araki leans in, resting his elbows on the table with a sneaky grin. Yo, Neen, did you finish that new invention yet? Neen perks his head up. Oh, yeah, duh. Of course I did. Iraki's voice carries right over to Siron. So, is this the actual invisibility cloak? Siron is trying to take notes, but his ears are practically twitching now. The two of them start geeking out loud. Whoa, that's actually sick. Right? It's genius. Totally. Siren's focus is gone. Dead. He's low-key eavesdropping on every word. It holds for about an hour if you pump this much energy into it. Wow, that's incredible. Siren can't play it cool anymore. He snaps, jumping out of his seat with pure curiosity written all over his face. I want to see it too. And we're back to the secret meeting between Sienna and Itella. Sienna takes a calm sip of her tea, trying to get her heart rate down. We were talking about Neen, but let's talk about the other kids in that room. That Aruki kid, he's a fifth year, but he's out here playing dumb. In her head, she's picturing the two biggest headaches in the school, Aruki and Siren. Then she goes quiet, dead serious, and asks, have you actually seen what that kid is capable of? Siron even took down that monster, Aruki. Once the current seniors head out, these kids are going to be the absolute stars of this academy. Suddenly, she slams her tea down on her lap in a total rush and starts venting at the top of her lungs. But what if Siren starts hanging with punks like Aruki and goes totally rogue? He'd become the biggest failure in the history of this magic academy. Itella just stands there, completely stunned and looking worried as the failure talk hits her. Itella finally relaxes and laughs. Girl, you are way too stressed. Cut to the lab. Siren lets out a huge whoa as he finds a box of weird, grenade-looking gadgets. No way, did you actually build all this gear yourself? So these are basically magic grenades. That is actually insane. The three of them huddle around the crate. En just giggles, saying he's saving them to pull off one massive, legendary prank later on. Siren, currently half hidden under an invisibility cloak, picks up a round pink grenade with a skeptical look. Isn't this like super dangerous though? Aruki just sighs, grabs a black book, and gives a half smile. Drop it. En's dream is to become a top-tier magic engineer. That's literally the only reason he's even suffering through school. Since Siron's wearing the cloak, he's just a floating head and hands gripping the fabric. He looks at Aruki with pure, unadulterated respect. A magic engineer? That's so cold. So you're using actual electronics to cook up this magic tech? Then he spots something else. Wait, what's this red book? Siren reaches for it while Aruki and En both lock eyes on the thing. En panics. Wait, but Aruki cuts him off lightning fast. Oh, isn't that from the body research group? Why is it even here? Siren flips it open, his eyes darting back and forth between the pages and Aruki. The body research group. Huh. He looks at the first page and nearly jumps out of his skin. The page is covered in sketches of two gorgeous girls from school. What is this? Embarrassed as hell, he drops the book and covers his face, peeking out with only one eye. Wait, aren't those students from our academy? Aruki leans in, frowning as he checks the drawings. So this is where it was. En just shrugs and explains it like it's no big deal. It's basically a dossier from some shady underground club. Aruki sounds totally bored now. The drawings are trash, but the inside info? It's surprisingly detailed. Just some bored kids looking for entertainment. But Siron isn't feeling it. He frowns, annoyed. Doesn't the school shut this stuff down? Suddenly, his eyes go wide and his face turns beet red. Why? Because he just spotted a drawing of Ami right there in the book. Aruki notices the dead silence. Yo, Siron, why'd you stop talking all of a sudden? Are you two actually dating? Siron doesn't even let him finish, throwing his hands up in a total panic. You guys, you definitely shouldn't be looking at this stuff. En tries to jump in, but he just lets out a confused little squeak. Siron quickly drops his hands and looks at Aruki, trying his best to change the subject. Anyway, who's even running a group this creepy? It's an underground thing, he replies calmly. But since it's mostly about the graduates, the seniors are probably the ones behind it. Siren mumbles to himself, the graduating class is doing this? Man, that's messed up. Back at Atella's place, The soft sunlight hits the roof as Sienna's voice rings out. Exactly. The Supernatural Soul Research Group is just as shady. Trust me, those black magic guys are just amateurs compared to them. The real problem? This joke was built by the smartest, most talented students in the entire academy. We're talking artists, people with actual psychic powers. Sienna pauses, her tone getting even more serious. They're geniuses at communication and research. They've managed to dodge every single school investigation so far. Sienna sits up straight, fingers interlaced, looking Atella dead in the eye with a stone-cold expression. The only reason we haven't busted them yet is because they aren't even an official club anymore. But these brilliant kids are trying to bring it back. And look at my face, I'm ending this right now. Atella stays quiet for a second, then slowly pours some tea into her cup before finally speaking up. I get why you're worried about your students, she says, steam rising from the tea. But there's a reason the school doesn't just barge in and stop everything. To help them grow, we treat these groups as independent. They have to take responsibility for their own choices, good or bad. Up on a high branch, a mother bird watches over a nest of colorful chicks that look nothing like her. She stays close, guarding them. Atella continues, if we adults just snatch that right away, they'll grow up terrified of making any decisions on their own. She looks at Sienna. Why not just give them a chance? Sienna goes quiet, eyes closed, clearly wrestling with the idea. Look, she's not wrong. But Sienna's eyes are literally twitching with stress as she tries to clap back at Atella. I get it. But we're the adults here. We gotta sharpen their skills and keep them from going off the deep end. Atella just goes quiet, deep in thought. It is honestly so obvious how much Professor Sienna actually cares about our boy Siron. I wanted to give Siron some space to figure his own life out, but I can't just ignore what the professor is saying. Finally, she speaks up. Look, my bad for keeping you in the dark, but this is about Siron. It's big. During the latest speed gun drill, Siron actually tapped into Nirvana. Sienna's eyes just about pop out of her head. She's like, no way, this can't be real. And then, absolute chaos. Say what? Sienna's scream is so loud it literally shakes the forest, scaring every bird for miles. Those poor birds just straight up bail, flying off in a total panic. Back in the lab, the chandelier starts vibrating like crazy and the ground begins to shake. Siron's on the floor, losing his mind. Yo, is this an earthquake? Neen starts frantically stuffing cloaks into a wooden crate. Hurry up. Wipe the evidence. Hide the stash. Aruki jumps in, grabbing stacks of paper to hide him away. Siron is the only one standing there like a lost puppy, wondering what the heck is going on. Aruki's out here rearranging the furniture while the lab professor, N, is sweating bullets over a desk. Siron just watches, totally stressed out. So, what's the plan now? Siron asks. Aruki just snaps back. Just sit down and act natural. Suddenly, a hand hits the scanner. A voice booms through the door. It's an emergency inspection. The Academy Council is waiting for that door to slide. She's standing there looking all serious. It takes 3 whole minutes for the room to summon, which is just enough time to bury the evidence. Inside, Neen and Aruki basically tackle Siron into a chair. He's panicking. Like, shouldn't we go out and say hi? Neen grabs his arm, dead-eyed. Chill out, dude. Just sit there and look like we're doing absolutely nothing. Aruki adds a warning if they get caught. Being suspended is going to be the least of their problems. Siron finally listens, and Neen leans in, eyes locked on him. This lab is our turf. If you look scared, we're toast. Got it? Siron's like, okay, I get it. Then the door flies open. Sienna struts in looking cold, powerful, and ready to ruin someone's day. She sees the 3 of them just chilling in their chairs. The room looks totally clean. Too clean. Nothing suspicious at all. Aruki's got his arms crossed, acting all high and mighty, just giving her a side-eye. Neen's leaning forward, trying to look cool but keeping his head down. And Siron? He's just staring straight ahead like his life depends on it. Sienna's eyes narrow. She's glaring at them, thinking to herself, I've got to shut this little squad down before it's too late. The council rep is confused for a second. Why did she expect this? But then Neen crosses his legs, acting totally unbothered. Our bad, Professor. We were just in the middle of a super intense debate. Sienna is not feeling the attitude at all. The sass is a bit much, don't you think? Neen just smirks, leaning back with his fingers interlaced like he's the boss. Hey, if you'd sent a formal heads up before dropping by, we would have given you a way warmer welcome. Sienna looks away, fuming. What really grinds her gears is seeing Siron getting dragged into this mess by these two. On the outside, Siron looks like he's keeping it together, just staring at the table like a monk. But inside, he's screaming, "It's Professor Sienna. Can I really just sit here like a statue?" Sienna finally forces a fake smile. "Is this how you treat guests? No tea? No drinks? Where's the hospitality?" Neen just grins at her. "Oh man, you actually trust us enough to drink something we made? That's brave." Siron feels like he's about to evaporate into thin air. Sienna just adjusts her glasses and lets out a soft, dangerous little laugh. "Fine, let's get down to business so I can get out of here." She sits down, her voice turning cold and sharp. "I'm here to take this lab back. Pack your bags." Aruki and Neen go stone-faced, while Siron just looks completely lost. The three of them lean in together, eyes wide, and shout in perfect unison. Neen slams his hands on the table and jumps up, practically howling. "Give the lab back? Are you for real right now?" Sienna pulls out a folder and starts flipping through pages. "I've checked the files, and honestly, I can't find a single reason to keep this place open. Bottom line, you guys haven't done a single thing in 4 years. Nothing." Siren starts sweating bullets, looking over at Aruki, who's looking just as stressed. Sienna keeps twisting the knife. "You've been short on students all semester. That's more than enough to shut you down. Plus, your budget got slashed, right?" Sienna just keeps scrolling through the documents, checking off all the reasons why they're finished. According to the rules, if you can actually produce something of value within a month, you might stay. If not, suddenly, Neen drops to his knees on the table, begging for his life while Siren watches in shock. "Anything but research results. Please, I'm begging you." Our boy is literally on his knees, head down, begging like his life depends on it. "Look, Prof, we all know supernatural research is basically just guessing in the dark, right? You're really gonna kill the only club brave enough to flip the bird to a magic society that's obsessed with boring science and logic? We'll do anything. Seriously, anything. Just don't ask us for actual research results yet. Please, I'm begging you." Sienna just sighs, slamming a folder against her face before looking down at them. "Fine. If you're gonna be like that, I've got a different deal for you." N stops breathing for a second. "Yes, anything." Sienna cuts him off with a look that could kill. "First order of business? Kick Siren out of the group. Now." The room goes ice cold. N's head snaps up, eyes wide with pure shock. Siren and Iruki look like they just got slapped. All three of them are completely floored by her condition. "Wait, why?" They scream in perfect, chaotic sync. After a minute of madness, Sienna leans in. "Do you guys even realize what you're playing with?" N and Iruki are sweating bullets, sitting stiffly while their brains scramble to find a way out of this mess. Meanwhile, Siron is stuck in the hot seat right across from her, looking totally lost and more than a little freaked out. Sienna stands behind her chair, arms crossed like a final boss. Immortality isn't some cool power-up. Even master mages can't touch it. It's way too dangerous for a rookie to handle. One slip-up and Siren just vanishes. Poof. Siren looks up, half scared and half pissed. "I know it's sketchy, okay? I won't do it again." She doesn't budge. "That's not the point, Siron. The real monster here is the massive overload that follows." Siren looks at his buddies. "Overload? What is that? Some kind of new lag?" N looks away, looking like he's seen a ghost. Iruki just scowls and breaks it down. "Think of it like a disease that only hits the absolute geniuses. A mental crash. I've been dealing with it since I was 8, but mine's pretty mild," he says, repeating exactly what his old man told him. "My dad basically said, 'You're already crazy. so just shut up and live with it. En's actually curious now. I had zero clue about any of this. Sienna rubs her temples, looking totally exhausted. It's only a problem because you kids treat it like some kind of trophy. An overload happens when your puny human mind can't handle the massive data dump of a sudden awakening. You just break. The energy literally starts leaking out of your skull because your brain is overflowing. It's a dam that's about to burst. It's a nightmare that'll shatter your consciousness. But people make the mistake of calling it a genius disease, which is total garbage. Imagine a mom with a dying kid who's actually happy about it because she thinks it means her kid is a genius. So she never gets him help. Jenna jumps in then, her voice heavy. Tons of kids miss their chance to get treated. They spend their whole lives in pure agony, thinking this immortality curse is just normal. It's tragic. As your teacher, I won't even let myself imagine how bad this could get for you. Siren's heart drops as the weight of her words finally hits him. So that's what it was. His mind literally collapsing on itself. Every night, he's lived through that same glowing nightmare, his body feeling like it's being shredded by a million wires. He honestly thought he was just going insane. Sienna isn't letting up, doubling down on her lecture to make them see reason. I'm putting Siron in psych treatment. I'll make sure it doesn't mess with his grades too much. But this is happening. Siron just slumps. Defeated. I'll handle the recovery myself so there's no permanent damage. If you guys actually give a damn about him, you'll kick him out for his own good. Hard pass. En's scream echoes through the room, cutting her off. Sienna's eyes go wide as she glares at him. He's got that rebellious spark back in his eyes, even if he looks a bit ridiculous. Listen, Prez, you're the boss, but you don't know everything about us. Excuse me? She snaps, leaning in. Is this really the time for a tantrum? But Eriki is the one who steps up next. Shouldn't this be Siren's call? It's his life. Shouldn't he choose how to live it? Siren just blinks, totally caught off guard by the backup. Siren finally finds his voice. I know you're worried, Prof, but isn't this a bit of an overkill? En jumps up, looking like he's about to explode. Yeah, I know exactly what's going on here. Professor, you're only going this far because you've got a massive crush on Siron, don't you? Sienna doesn't even flinch. She just looks him dead in the eye. Yeah, I do. You got a problem with that? The silence is deafening. Then En looks like he just got struck by lightning. He clutches his head and screams at the ceiling. Of course it's a problem. A teacher getting played by her own student? That's insane. His face is steaming, eyes going totally glassy. Wait, if that's the case, is there a chance, a tiny chance, that you actually like ME too? Sienna's answer is faster than a bullet. Nope, not a chance. En literally collapses, face planting into a puddle of his own tears on the desk. Absolutely wrecked. Welp, the president's dead, Siron mutters, looking at the body. Sienna just sighs. I'm not playing these games. Stop being stubborn and face reality. Eriki looks at her, his expression turning stone-cold serious. Professor, if Siren can't handle the overload, does that mean he's reached his limit? He isn't gonna die, right? Siron just stands there, frozen. Sienna doesn't sugarcoat it. Eriki, you've been through this. You know this isn't some little headache. This is immortality we're talking about. It's a completely different level of hell. Eriki's brow furrows as the realization sinks in. Immortality. A dark void where nobody knows the rules. Siren just took the first step into it. Shouldn't we just trust him? You're worried he's crossing the line, right, Professor? But check it, that fire in his eyes? That's what people call a total obsession. Sina just stood there, silent, biting her lip as her mind started racing a mile a minute. Obsession? Huh? Suddenly, a memory hit her. A voice from her childhood screaming, Sien, you've got to get out of here. She remembered being a terrified little girl alone in a frozen forest. Then, Siren's voice snapped her back. This is my choice to make. Sienna flinched, looking at him with pure worry. But Siren? He just admitted honestly, I'm terrified too. I thought I was losing my mind, Professor. She tried to jump in, panicked, but Siron cut her right off. But no, It actually felt amazing. Sienna's jaw dropped. Wait, what? Hand on his heart, Siren spoke with total sincerity. This isn't something everyone gets to feel, but it's happening to me for a reason. The truth? I'm actually scared of my nightmares disappearing. If they vanish, I'll never unlock the secrets buried inside me. He looked up, eyes blazing with straight-up confidence. If this is my cross to bear, I'm finding the answers. No more running, I'm facing this head-on. Watching him, Sienna saw a shadow of a blonde boy who once reached out to save her. Don't run, look straight ahead, that's what he'd said. She whispered to herself, he's just like him. Finally, Sienna nodded. I get it. I'll respect Siren's path and stop trying to make him quit. The three idiots hiding under the table were shook and hyped. They popped up like, "Aye, let's go." She agreed. Finally, then Sienna turned back, waving with a smile that was way too bright. But we're back to the original deal. I expect actual results by next month. Got it? Siren's smile died instantly. His face went gray, yeah. The realization hit him like a freight train. Cut to the waterfall. Three dudes on a bench, staring into space like zombies. Siren's soul had basically left his body. We are so cooked. A month? For research? Siren panicked. Do you guys even have any old notes? N was a total ghost, zero response. Man was mentally checked out. Aruki frowned, deep in thought. Bro, SPSG has literally zero research. If soul science was real, it'd be in the textbooks. There's zero proof spirits even exist. Aruki sighed, sounding completely defeated. N finally spoke up, but he looked like he'd seen a ghost himself. Pale as a sheet. Sorry, Prez. The club ends with us. He kept rambling, but honestly, it was just incoherent mumbles at that point. Siren was crying inside, but tried to hype him up anyway. Then, Aruki snapped out of it, eyes sparkling. Yo, look. A total baddie. Siren snapped back. Not now. Man. Focus. N was still a vegetable. But mention a girl? N bolted upright, eyes scanning like a radar. Where? Where is she? They spotted a girl in a long dress, purple hair flowing in the wind. N couldn't look away. Who is that? Is there someone like that in the high class? Aruki scratched his chin. Definitely not from around here. An alumni? Siren looked at them, confused. Aruki, do you seriously know every girl in the advanced class? Then Siren looked closer. Wait, that purple hair? Looks like Sienna? He started blushing like crazy. Siron and N screamed at the same time. That's Professor Sienna. N lost it. No way. A glow-up like that? Impossible. Aruki smirked at Siren. Damn, Siren, you've got a thing for older women? Sus. Siren started panicking. It's not like that. But where is she going on a weekend? All dressed up and wearing makeup? They watched her walk away, gossiping like crazy. Aruki's bet? She's definitely going on a date. N wasn't buying the boyfriend talk. Suddenly, he stood up, looking determined. This is an opportunity. Siren was lost, but N was hyped. We tail her, find her weakness, and use it to stop her from killing our club. Aruki got serious. Tailing a rank 6 mage? Hard mode. But we've got the invisibility cloak. And just like that, those two bolted, leaving Siron in the dust with some last-second orders. I'll track her with the wind first. Aruki shouted as he skedaddled. N pointed right at Siren's face. I'm grabbing the cloak from the lab. You know how to stay low, right? This is the only way to save our research group. Siron stood there, absolutely baffled. Then he just screamed, use those brains for studying instead. Sienna's on high alert, scanning the area like she's smuggling top-secret intel and looking over her shoulder every 2 seconds. Siren and his crew are playing ninja under an invisibility cloak behind a fruit stand, and Aruki is low-key loving every second of this danger. With a devious little smirk, he whispers that something's definitely going down. I mean, who is she meeting in secret? Siron's complaining about being a literal stalker, but even he's starting to feel a weird, heavy vibe in the air. Talk about a high-stakes date, they're navigating a massive, crowded market where anyone could be watching their every move. Siren's confused why a noble isn't avoiding these commoner zones, while Sienna keeps pivoting like a paranoid secret agent. She even does a full 180-degree turn to check her six before vanishing into the maze of shop stalls. Aruki's calling it this is shady as hell, and he's worried she's about to ditch their research papers for some quick cash. Seriously, is the professor out here selling high-tier gear on the black market just for the money? Siron gives him the ultimate side-eye, not everyone's a hustler like you, just as Sienna stops at a random house in the residential district. The door swings open, she beams, and some random guy straight up wraps her in a massive, joyful hug. The boy's jaws hit the floor. A man? Nin's losing his mind. Is this a secret commoner boyfriend she's been hiding? This is front-page news. Is this the forbidden, star-crossed romance, the family band? Arian and Siron just stare at Nin as he spirals. She's inside, so they should probably bounce, but Nin's curiosity is already at an 11 out of 10. He's like, "Are you kidding? We need the receipts. We've got to find the proof and follow her." For the sake of the team's survival, Arian and Siron just follow his lead, and Nin gives the signal it's go time. Aruki clears his throat and preps his magic, sending a pulse of blue light straight into the iron lock. The pressure builds until pop. The door flies open, and Nin's cheering like they just won a trophy. "We did it. It's open." He's flexing his detective skills, bragging about how he knew the basement lock would be a total joke. "Let's move." Nin and Arian start clearing the house like a SWAT team, but the first floor is a total ghost town. Time to hit the second floor. Use your diversion field to scout the hallway, while Siren just stands there, dying inside. He's thinking, if these two put this much effort into their grades, they'd be top of the class. Cloaked up and hugging the wall, they creep through the house until Nin suddenly freezes and gives the signal. "Wait, guys. I hear a woman's voice coming from that room right there." The door is shut tight, but the sound is clear. Siren's practically begging them to turn back before things get weird. But Nin's convinced Sienna started this war first. No turning back now. They press their ears to the wood and catch some seriously spicy dialogue coming from the other side. Inside, Amin asks if she needs to change clothes, and Sienna's like, "Nah, I'm feeling this outfit today." She wonders if she should take it off, but Amin's like, "Keep it on. You look absolutely stunning." Outside, Arian and Siren are turning beet red. This is definitely way more than they ever signed up for. Then Sienna asks when his wife gets home, and Amin says in about 2 hours, and the boys officially lose their collective minds. The professor is having an affair with a married man. Amin starts getting things ready for the work. Arian's hyped this is the ultimate weakness, but Nin is absolutely horrified by the scandal he's hearing. He's not letting this happen on his watch, so he grabs the handle, determined to stop this wrongdoing. "We have to save her." They burst through the door, tears streaming down their faces like a dramatic finale. They're all screaming, "Professor, don't do it," until their voices just trail off into awkward, pathetic silence. This is wrong. All three of them are stunned. The door literally fell off its hinges from the force of their heroic entrance. And there's Amin, just sitting there, painting a portrait. Sienna's just staring at them, shaking with pure, unadulterated rage. The mood shifts from heroic rescue to extreme danger as she screams, "What are you idiots doing here?" Then, hands up, cut to, all three of them holding their hands up in the air, trembling like leaves in a storm. Nin, being the leader, tries to apologize. "We're sorry. We just thought." He mumbles, "You were doing adult things." "Excuse me? You actually thought I'd do that?" She's fuming, telling them they're dead meat once they get back to campus. Aruki realizes they're cooked and decides it's every man for himself. He points a finger straight at Nin. He's the leader. Siren jumps on the betrayal train, mentioning the invisibility cloak was Nin's idea, leaving their friend completely stranded. Nin's jaw drops. "You absolute traitors. You guys didn't say anything against it back there." Amin finally steps in to save them, telling Sienna to cool off since he's fine and the door is already fixed anyway. Amin stepped in to smooth things over, telling Sienna, "Relax, your students only followed us because they were worried sick about you. Right, guys?" Amin just laughed it off with a wave of his hand. Look, it's fine. My bad for being careless enough to be followed. But yeah, breaking and entering is definitely a move. It was pretty obvious these kids didn't think twice, they just saw their teacher in danger and went full hero mode. He slowly started heading out, calling back over his shoulder, "I'll go brew some tea. You guys stay here and catch up." The Siren squad didn't miss a beat. "Thanks a ton." All three of them watched Amin walk away with literal stars in their eyes. The man was a straight-up saint. But watching Amin's slow, deliberate movements made Siren's gears turn. He whispered to himself, "Wait, is he actually blind?" Suddenly, Siren's brain did a massive flip, and he clutched his head. Why did it feel like a 10-ton weight just dropped on his skull? Could this heavy feeling be linked to that overwhelming sense of pity he felt? Sienna just face-palmed, sighing in pure relief. Seriously, we're lucky Amin is such a chill, big-hearted guy. Siron immediately started digging for the tea. "Professor," he asked, trying to sound polite while failing to hide his dying curiosity, "who exactly is that guy?" "Yeah, for real. What's the history there? You were acting like we were infiltrating a top-secret bunker just to see him." Sienna looked at her students, already feeling a headache coming on. She explained that Eamon was her senior back at the Magic Academy. Aruki's eyes widened. "So he's a mage too? But wait, if he's a mage, how did he lose his sight?" Sienna's face fell. She took a shaky breath, her voice dropping to a whisper that drained the room of all its energy. "I mean, he can't see anymore. Because of me." Her mind flashed back to that day. A total nightmare. Sienna, much younger, running through a wall of torrential rain. Back in the day, she'd suffered a massive mana overload. The memory of her sobbing in the downpour played out like a tragic movie scene. During those hellish days, all she knew was running. Amin, just a boy back then, was sprinting after her, screaming, "Sien, stop, it's dangerous." The water's rising too fast, but young Sienna was stubborn and terrified. She just kept pushing him away. "No, stay back. Don't come near me." A split second later, her foot slipped. Sienna vanished into the raging rapids with one final, blood-curdling scream as Amin watched from above. Sienna, without a single thought for his own life, Amin dove straight into the deadly currents after her. They managed to snag a massive floating log, Sienna shaking and crying her eyes out. Amin pulled her close, trying to be the rock she needed. "Hold on tight. If we can just make it to the lower banks, we're home free." But then Amin saw it. Up ahead, the river was a graveyard of massive fallen trees, their jagged branches sticking out like deadly spears. He knew what had to be done. "Sien, listen to me. We have to dive under. Now, you can do this, okay?" But Sienna was hyperventilating, the tears not stopping for a second. "I can't. I just can't do it." Time was up. Amin didn't argue, he grabbed her and forced her head underwater, whispering final words of comfort. "Hold your breath. I'm going to hold you down so you don't float up and get hit. Stay low, stay tight, and we live." Sienna, terrified but trusting him, finally went still. Okay, Amin stayed above the surface, facing those massive logs head-on, a fierce fire burning in his soul. "We are getting out of this. Period." The current accelerated. He watched the timber flying toward him and had only one thought. At least she has to live. Tears mixed with the river water as he braced for the impact that would change everything. Back in the present, Sienna's voice was laced with bitterness as she finished the story. And that's how Eamon, the legendary genius of the Magic Academy, lost his eyes. He gave up the path of a mage forever, even though they both technically survived. The room went dead silent, everyone wearing a look of pure heartbreak. Sienna continued, mentioning how she heard he'd eventually become a painter. "I can't even tell you how shocked I was," she murmured. Neen whispered back, "So that's the real story, huh?" Aruki finally got it, the reason their teacher was so paranoid about mana overloads. Right then, Amin walked back in, his voice cutting through the heavy gloom like a ray of light. "Sien's a bit of a nagger, isn't she?" Sienna jumped, startled. "Amin." Siren was the first to speak up, giving him a quick thank you. "Thanks for the tea, sir." Eamon smiled. "Hey, She might nag, but trust me, Sienna cares about you kids more than anyone. Seriously, she never shuts up about her students. Neen turned bright red, scratching his head awkwardly. Well, we actually respect her a lot too. Iruki took a big gulp of her drink and chirped, "Oh, it's iced tea. Nice." Meanwhile, Siron drifted toward the half-finished painting on Amin's easel. "If you don't mind, could we watch you paint for a bit?" Amin looked genuinely surprised. "Watch me? Watch a blind man paint?" Neen jumped on the bandwagon immediately. "I want to see too," but Eriki couldn't help her curiosity. "Wait, how do you even do it if you can't see anything?" Sienna winced, trying to check her student's lack of chill. "Hey, don't be so rude, you guys." Eamon just chuckled to calm her down. "It's fine, Sien. Besides, I'm running out of time. I need to get back to work anyway. You okay with that, Sienna?" Sienna didn't have the heart to say no. "Of course," she replied, though she looked a little shy about the whole thing. So Sienna started posing, looking all bashful while Amin got to work. As he began sketching with unbelievable precision, Neen was basically losing his mind in the corner. "This is insane. How is he even doing this?" Eriki squinted, her brain working overtime. "He's definitely using a mana domain, which means Uncle is at least a Znur rank mage." Siron, however, didn't say a word. He just watched every single twitch of Amin's hands. Finally, he stood up, his voice low and dead serious. "Uncle Amin." Siren dropped a question that made Amin's brush stop dead in its tracks. "You can actually see everything, can't you?" Amin slowly turned his head, a mysterious smile spreading across his face as he looked right at him. Amin slowly peels off that blindfold and drops the coolest line ever. "Yo, kid. I've been dying to meet you." Siron is absolutely shook. Amin's eyes are literally glowing like neon lights as he stares the kid down. I mean, did he really think he could hide that? Siren starts frantically tapping on N's head, but it's ghost mode. Zero response. Nothing. "Yo, Iruki." Look at Uncle Amin's Siren turns around and realizes his two besties are frozen like statues. Total freak-out moment. Even Sienna is stuck mid-sit. Siren's checking everyone like, "Wait, hold up. What is even happening?" Amin just stands there in the back, looking like a total boss. "It's magic, kid. That golden aura around him? Pure main character energy. He calls it time stasis." Siren's brain is melting right now. He's just stuttering. "No way. This is actually impossible." Then it hits him. He's standing in front of a legendary mage who can literally bend time at the speed of light. Talk about a flex. Amin's chill as a cucumber, though. He's like, "Take a seat, kid. Relax. We've got all the time in the world, literally." Suddenly, the room starts glitching out, splitting into 1,000 different hallways. It's a straight-up, endless maze now. Siren's still wearing that "what just happened" face. Amin just sits across from him, looking calm. "Gonna be real with you. I was low-key worried. I knew you'd figure it out eventually." Siren's like, "Wait, you knew? You knew I'd see through it?" Amin points to the white cloth over his eyes. "See, normal people use eyes to catch light, but Amin, his eyes are the light. Power move." He leans in and tells him, "The second I saw you, I knew we were built different. We share one big thing." Siron tries to use his big brain logic. "Is it?" He doesn't even finish before Amin cuts him off with a solid yes. The power of immortality. Boom. Siren's mind is officially blown. He did not see that coming. He's being all shy now, asking Amin, "So, can you tell me more about this immortality thing?" Amin's totally down to spill the tea. Immortality is basically the door to reincarnation, and the people who can swing that door open, they're called the unlockers. Check out that light behind the blindfold. Suddenly, Siron sees it, a giant lock clicking open, surrounded by this insane golden power. "It's getting wild in here. Siren, you already opened that door." Amin explains it while this beautiful teal light and magic circles start swirling around. Once you're an unlocker, your mind just flows into the infinite. You feel this massive surge of power and, like, total freedom. Siren is hanging on every single word. Amen notices he's looking a bit stressed, so he tries to cool him down. Chill out. As long as you don't go overboard, your brain won't turn to mush. Siron finally lets it all out. Okay, good, because honestly, I've been dreaming about the literal universe every single night. Even Amen's like, the whole universe? For real? Siron's been hiding this from his squad because, honestly, it sounds like he's losing his marbles. Supernatural vibes are scary, man. He's hesitating, thinking he might be in actual danger. But Eamon just gives him this warm smile. I get it, kid. The magic. It actually likes you, Siren. Wait, what? Siren is looking at him like he's speaking a foreign language. Ammon keeps going. Look, these symptoms? You can't avoid them. It's part of the package deal. Imagine Siron just floating in the middle of space, surrounded by billions of stars. That's what Eamon is describing right now. You've touched the infinite, kid. The literal universe. Anyone would be terrified facing that kind of scale for the first time. But here's the secret. That fear you're feeling? That's the spark that leads to enlightenment. Most unlockers get powers over space, but Siren's fear is different. It's not about distance or size. It's something else entirely. You're facing something unique, kid. Amin gives him another one of those it's gonna be okay looks. The second you figure out what that thing is, all your stress, poof, gone. Siron is instantly hyped again. So, how do I find out? Amin just laughs. You'll find a way. Trust me. Could be tomorrow. Could take your whole life. Who knows? And just like that, Siren's mood does a total 180. My whole life? Are you serious? Amin just tells him to breathe. Don't sweat it. Whatever it is, it's already inside you. You just haven't given it a name yet. Deep stuff, right? Siren's overthinking now. Is it some hidden power? The universe is inside me? I'm so lost right now, uncle. But then he drops a detail that actually makes Amin do a double take. What if it's about the light? And those weird strings I saw in my dreams? Amin's face lights up. Wait, that sounds like G-symmetry theory. Siren's like, G-symmetry, what now? New knowledge unlocked. Amin goes into teacher mode. See, some scholars believe the world is basically a masterpiece. Everything is perfectly balanced. Amin explains how humans are basically influenced by these cosmic energy currents. It's like the laws of physics are just perfect. A world that can be solved like a math equation. It's all calculated, from the speed of light to this symmetry. It's like someone designed it on purpose. But look, as the world keeps spinning and everything goes to hell, things never stay on track for long. The more we dig into it, the more we realize the truth. That perfect balance? Total myth. It's straight up broken. Siren glanced over at Aruki, his brain racing. It reminded him of that world of probability Aruki was always geeking out about. Amin kept going. The universe we live in? It's far from perfect. Honestly, no one knows what shattered that symmetry in the first place. He figured it was some nameless entity, but then he looked at Siren and smiled. If it's you, kid, I bet you'll find the answer. Siron felt that praise hit him right in the feels. Thanks, uncle, he stammered, finally starting to see the bigger picture. Seriously, thank you. Uncle Eamon, I think I can actually do this. He started apologizing for tagging along with the professor, but man, he was just hyped to meet the guy. Eamon just turned to Sienna and whispered, take care of her, okay? He gave Siren this gentle look. She's way more of a softie than she lets on. Then Siren remembered something. Wait, why are you hiding your powers? You could have told her. Amin just bowed his head slightly, finally letting the truth spill. Sienna's been drowning in guilt over me, but my eyes, they're gone, kid. No coming back. Why let her waste her life worrying about a lost cause? A quick thought flashed through his mind. He had a life now. Besides, I'm a married man. Amin went back to his canvas while Siren just watched, stunned. Amin kept thinking to himself, I just want Sienna to finally live for herself. Sienna sat there, still as a statue for the painting. Her cheeks were bright red Loki, looking like some high society lady from the old days. Siren sat back, processing everything while Aruki kept the chatter going next to him. Remembering Amin's warning, Siren gave a tiny nod. Promise me, Oen had said. Keep this secret between us. Finally, the portrait was done, Sienna looking stunning in an autumn gold dress. Thank you, Sienna, Amin said warmly. She just brushed it off. It's nothing. We're practically family, right? Then her voice trailed off. So, today's the last day. Once you're settled in your new spot, I'll write to you. Eamon didn't skip a beat. Yeah, I'll write back. Promise. He turned to the kids, telling Siren and Aruki to hit the books hard. The three of them chimed in together. Thanks for everything, Uncle. Eamon smiled one last time. Sienna, I'll see you around. She looked like she didn't want to leave. Yeah, see ya. Suddenly, a high-pitched voice pierced the air from a distance. Honey, I'm back from shopping. Is that painting done yet? The whole crew froze. Amin's wife appeared, and boy, was she a character. Oh my, Lady Sienna, you're leaving already? Stay for dinner. Siren's jaw hit the floor. Yo, Uncle Amin has some unique taste in women. She leaned in, checking out Sienna's face. Why's your face so red, sweetie? Honey, I think Lady Sienna's coming down with something. Sienna was totally speechless. She and the kids scrambled to get out of that awkward-as-hell atmosphere. Sorry, we're super busy. Gotta run. Amin barely had time to wave. Goodbye, Sienna. The red-haired woman watched them go, her eyes sharp. She turned to Amin with a smirk. Wonder if the big bosses would believe this? The legendary Spirit Eye making faces like that? Amin's voice went ice cold. Quit nagging and just give me the report. She snapped into gear. We need to move from Chris to Kelbera. There's a lot of heat on the road. But hey, that's nothing for the great Spirit Eye Amin, right? She leaned in with a mocking grin. Or should I call you the soul seeker of the eternal realm? Amin just walked inside. I'll do my job. Stop talking trash. She followed him, a smug look on her face. You still haven't told Sienna the truth, have you? Amin stayed quiet, so she twisted the knife. Don't forget the lives of everyone you love are on the line here. Don't worry, Amin snapped back. Sienna doesn't know a thing. Meanwhile, Sienna was walking ahead in total silence, making the boys sweat. We are so dead, Eriki whispered. Siren blinked. Why? Look at her. She's in a terrible mood. Once we get back to the academy, we're getting cooked for stalking and breaking in. Our research group is toast. Aruki suddenly called out to her, making her stop in her tracks. Professor Sienna turned around, and the boys immediately switched to begging for their lives mode. Can we please eat before we go back? Yeah, we're straight up starving. Siren added a sweet smile. We finally got out for once. We gotta grab a bite, Professor. Sienna looked at her three pathetic students and her heart melted. I guess you guys have been through a lot today. You're probably exhausted. She turned back around, hiding a smile. Fine. Let's go. Eat until you literally explode. The three of them shared a victory look. Mission accomplished. The plan was simple. Get her hyped on food so she forgets about the punishment. Aruki was already planning to order the most expensive thing on the menu. Only Siron noticed the sadness in her eyes. He knew she wasn't just hungry, she was hurting because she had to say goodbye to Uncle Amin. I was supposed to be the one cheering her up, but look at us now. 2 hours later, the sun's down at a city tavern and Professor Sienna is absolutely losing it. Keep 'em coming, she screams. Cue the pure chaos. Her students are basically in full-on panic mode, begging her to stop. Professor, we messed up. Please, just put the bottle down. Sienna's face is glowing red. She is totally hammered. She hoists another bottle like a trophy while her students literally cry for mercy on the floor. It is a total disaster. Don't do it, Professor. Seriously, what the heck happened to Sienna? Let's rewind 2 hours before these three poor souls started praying for their lives. The table was stacked with a massive spread. We are talking 5-star dishes, smelling amazing and looking like a literal piece of art. Siron watches Sienna pour a glass and asks, Wait, Professor, you are actually gonna drink? Sienna just gives them this smug, teasing look. And, you punks break into a stranger's house and that is fine, but I can't have a little drink? Give me a break. They immediately fold with a nervous laugh. Haha, Totally. It is your day off. Go wild. Meanwhile, Siren's hands are moving like a blur, inhaling every dish on the table. So good. Siron is basically in food heaven. Aruki just shakes his head at how pure and innocent his friend is. Dude, you act like you have never seen food before. Neen, being a total brown-noser, tries to pour Sienna another round to stay on her good side. Allow me, Professor, she yanks the bottle back fast, shooing him away. Beat it, kid. You are way too young to be touching the good stuff. Neen keeps smiling, but inside, he is plotting. Rule number 1. You have got to keep the professor happy if you want to get anything out of her. He has got a secret plan to ask for a favor, but he needs her in a good mood first. Behind them, Siron is happily sharing his loot with Iruki. You gotta try this one. Iruki is not having it. Pass. I am stuffed. Neen just keeps smirking like a cartoon villain. Time for phase 2 of the master plan. I am gonna find her weakness for sure. Cut to an hour later, and Neen is literally in tears because a very drunk Sienna is death-gripping his chubby cheek. You little troublemaker. She is having the time of her life squishing his face like dough. Why are your cheeks so freaking soft, anyway? It is like a marshmallow. Siron and Iruki are watching from across the table, and they are starting to sweat. This is getting real weird, real fast. She is wasted. Suddenly, Sienna snaps her head toward them, making them jump. You too. The rapid-fire exam? You guys were total beasts. One hand is still crushing Neen's face while she points at the others, yelling at the top of her lungs. You guys have got serious talent, so why are your grades so trash at school? Then, her voice drops, and she actually starts crying. Like, real, messy tears. So much talent, while so many others never even get to chase their dreams. She is choking up now. You probably think I am a joke of a teacher, but you guys... Siren tries to jump in and save the vibe. No way. We don't think that at all. Professor, you're the best. Sienna's face is a mix of drunk red and pure sadness. Then bam, gravity wins, and she faceplants straight into the dinner table. She is out cold. The kids are losing their minds. Professor, Iruki just sits there, casually picking his teeth. Well, I am done eating. The three of them stare at her, all thinking the same thing. They are still chewing their food, but the fear is settling in. Seriously, what now? She hasn't even paid the bill yet. Siron starts shaking her, trying to bring her back from the dead. Wake up, Professor, please. Just then, some sketchy guy with a sleazy laugh walks up to their table. Oh man, looks like this lady had a few too many. Maybe I should take her home in my carriage? The kids try to shut it down fast. No thanks, we're good. These creeps do not listen. They start moving in on Sienna's seat like vultures circling their prey. Beat it, runts. Let the adults handle this. Come on, let's help her up. He reaches out to touch her, thinking he hit the jackpot because she is actually gorgeous up close. The look in his eyes? Absolutely disgusting. He thinks he is getting lucky with a defenseless woman. But before his hand can land, Siren grabs his wrist. His voice is ice cold. Hands off. Now, Siron stares them down, not even blinking. Don't touch our professor. The two guys are stunned. Then they start barking orders like they own the place. Who does this brat think he is? If you are students, what are you even doing out this late at a bar? Go home to your mommies. One word from me, and you are all expelled. Siren doesn't even flinch. He just stands his ground, face totally blank. Suddenly zap, a ball of magic sparks out of nowhere. The guy screams so loud his eyes nearly pop out of his head. Neen is standing there, magic ready to blow. I'd vanish if I were you, unless you want to be publicly humiliated in front of everyone? The guys freeze, realizing they messed up. Wait, that is actual magic. They're mages. The other one starts shaking. Don't tell me they are from Anpas Magic Academy. He realizes this is way above his pay grade. Then, a new voice cuts through the air, sharp as a blade. Administrative Officer, Chris Silver Douglas. The guy spins around to find Iruki holding his wallet. My wallet? When the hell did you grab that from my pocket? Iruki is just chilling, checking the guy's ID. So, you are a big shot? He tosses the wallet back and smirks. If you want to expel us, come find Mekadin Aruki. I'll be waiting. The wallet smacks the guy right in his stupid, confused face. Talk about a total shutdown. He stammers, totally broken and terrified. Mekadin. Did he say Mekadin? The realization hits them like a truck. First-class nobility. 3 generations of royal advisors. They just tried to bully a Mekadin. Total game over. Those 2 punks? Ghosted. Scrammed. Total lightweights. Honestly, why even try to flex when you can't back it up? Nee watches them run and looks at Eriki, totally confused. Yo, since when do you pull the big family name card? I thought you hated that elite clout stuff. Aruki just shrugs. Only for trash who care about status. Anyway, let's bounce. This vibe is dead, and we've got good food to protect. Behind them, Professor Sienna is still out cold, snoring with a weirdly peaceful smile. Meanwhile, the shopkeeper prints that one photo and is basically doing a victory lap. He's looking at it like he just found a gold mine, a perfect, legendary shot of the uptight professor drunk and passed out. Straight up scandalous. Aruki grabs the camera and honestly, he's gotta respect the hustle. Nee, you're a freaking artist. Wait, you actually took a pic? Nee is beaming. This is it. Bro, this is our leverage. Our research club is officially saved from getting the axe. Cut to Siron, who's currently drenched in sweat and breathing heavy. Why? Because Sienna is currently slumped on his back like a literal sack of bricks. Why am I the designated pack mule for Professor Sienna? Siren grunts. Nay just teases him. What, you jealous? 'Cause I low-key am. Eriki pipes up with the logic. Simple math, Siren. You're the powerhouse of the group. Siren's just dying inside. Every step feels like his legs are about to snap. Aruki is so weak he'd probably collapse before even taking a step. He walks up to Siren and offers a little pro tip. Try using a schematic. Siren's like, are you serious? You think I can just turn that on like a light switch? Aruki explains that once you tap into your soul's domain, the schematic follows. Nee turns around, eyes wide like he just remembered something huge. Oh yeah, the kingdom's got those legendary arcane blade masters too. Aruki hypes Siren up. Trust me, you've got the talent for this. Siren's eyes literally light up. For real? Bet. Teach me. Aruki starts the masterclass. Alright, step 1. Eyes shut. Focus on you and only you. He starts guiding Siron in that smooth narrator voice. I'm gonna ask some deep questions. Just follow my voice. Siron is locked in, ready. He starts diving deep into his own subconscious. Deep breaths, feeling the inner self. Total Zen mode. In that quiet mental space, he hears Aruki's voice echoing. You hear me, Siren? Stay calm. Breathe. Aruki leans in, looking all mysterious, and then drops the bomb. Okay, tell me, where exactly was your first kiss with Senior Ami? Siren's eyes snap open. Deadass? He's just standing there, totally done with these two as they burst out laughing. Got him. Siren got played. The sky above is stunning, though deep purple, a crescent moon, and stars everywhere. Total movie vibes. As they cross the bridge, Siren sighs. Look guys, stop using her weakness to blackmail her into favors. Nay is not having it. Why? We worked hard for this blackmail material. Siren softens his voice. Come on. Nay, you know the deal. Professor Sienna. She's had a rough day. She's tired, and she's hurting. Sienna is still fast asleep, totally oblivious on Siren's back. Aruki adds, she just doesn't want us to end up broken like she was. Nay goes quiet, looking away from his friends. He ruffles his hair, looking stressed, and finally makes a call. Fine, but the former president left this group to me. If we disband, I'm the one who... Nee looks at the photo, hesitates for a second, then yeets it straight into the river. He watches it vanish into the dark water. Screw it. It'll work out somehow. The 3 of them lock eyes, and you can feel the hype building. Yeah, we'll just do it our way. Then, out of nowhere, Sienna bolts upright. Do what? Exactly. The boys almost jump out of their skins. Siren is stammering. Professor, you're awake? Sienna just rolls her eyes. You kids are a handful. Seriously. She fixes her coat, looking all dignified again. Look, I'll keep your little secrets. The boys are blinking in shock. Huh. Sienna sees their confused faces and sighs. It means I'm not gonna punish you. Get it? They all gasp in unison. For real? Then Sienna points a finger at them, dropping the hammer. But I'm giving you exactly 1 month. She goes full professor mode. Prove it to me. Ghosts, magic, whatever. If you actually care about this research group, use that confidence to convince the whole academy. She's talking with pure passion now. Go out there and take what you want. Siren feels a chill, the good kind. He whispers, Professor, while Nay is basically vibrating with excitement. Yes, Ma'am Nay stands tall in front of her, full of resolve. Presentation or not, we're gonna show them what we're worth. We'll prove it with pride. Eriki chimes in, grinning. Guess it's time to actually use our brains for once. Huh? Sienna smiles. Good luck. Don't let me down. Nee shouts back. Just don't act too shocked when we crush it. Siren watches them all, smiling to himself. Everything's chaotic, but everything's right. He feels a massive weight lifted off his shoulders. The four of them walk across the bridge together. But then, the boys start getting suspicious. Wait, Professor. When exactly did you wake up? Since when does a master mage pass out from a few sips of wine? Sienna starts stuttering. Look. It's complicated. Fast forward a few days. The sun is shining, the clouds are fluffy, but the academy is absolutely buzzing with gossip. Wait, what's this? A research presentation? A massive poster is plastered on the board, and everyone's crowding around it. Hold up, since when did Siron join this weirdo club? Even Aruki the genius senior is scratching his head. Spiritual Science Research Group? What kind of sketchy, low-budget club name is that? The poster looks like a total fever dream, all gray tones and creepy vibes, designed specifically to mess with your head. Spiritual Science. The terrifying truth of Anpas Magic Academy. Outside the castle walls, people are already whispering. Is this a joke or are things about to get real? Siren and Aruki are actually in on this? I mean, come on, is this supposed to be an academic presentation or a ghost hunters convention? Rewind the clock. 10 days ago, back at Istis, Nen was literally about to pull his hair out. I've got nothing. My brain is officially fried. He flops onto the sofa with a massive sigh, looking like a total zombie after pulling way too many all-nighters. The table is a disaster zone of research cards. Aruki's passed out across from him, and Siron is basically sliding off his chair in pure defeat. Aruki rubs his face, trying to stay awake. Look, we've been at this for days, but look at this pile of trash we're working with. Goblins, zombies, exorcisms, spirits, psychics, spooks, gods, haunted houses, telepathy, aliens. It's all the same junk. Souls, Ouija boards, the afterlife, out-of-body stuff, ghost stories, doppelgangers. It's a total circus. He keeps going, looking at the cards in his hands. One side is all monsters and spirits. The other is supernatural senses. Honestly, none of it is cool. Nen looks completely lost. Man, even if this stuff was actually real, how are we supposed to show it during a presentation? It's not like we can just summon a spirit on stage and ask it for a high five, right? The cards just fly everywhere. 3 geniuses, 1 project, and absolutely 0 clues. Total fail. It's been 3 days since they made that bold promise to Professor CNA. We're gonna win this, they said. Yeah, right. Good luck with that. They're supposed to be studying spiritual science, but the professor just pointed at them and barked, just show me a ghost or something. Siren just sighs. How the heck are you supposed to show someone something that's literally invisible to the human eye? That's why Nen's going off the deep end. He's throwing photos around like a madman. Aruki's just watching him like, bro, why are you tossing the research? Nen's response? I was already crazy. Don't worry about it. Meanwhile, Siren just lets out a massive yawn. I'm done. I'm so done. He starts to walk away, done with the nonsense, when he glimmers something out of the corner of his eye and freezes. Ah! He lets out a straight-up scream. Right there, behind him, is a see-through version of Nen, grinning like a creep. Siron hits the floor hard. Nen just peeks over the chair, laughing his head off. Gotcha. Hey, why don't we just trick them like this and say it's a real ghost? Aruki doesn't even move. He's still lounging with his legs up. That's just a lightning shadow trick. Man, calm down. Siron scrambles to his feet, heart still pounding. I don't care what it is. He was looking right at me. It was terrifying. Aruki rolls his eyes. No real mage is gonna fall for a cheap trick like that. Nen just shrugs. I mean, it worked on Siren, didn't it? Tricking someone for 2 seconds doesn't count as a win. Nen. Siron just stands there, feeling like a total clown. Suddenly, he snaps. He stands up, fist clenched, looking totally fired up. We don't need to prove anything. We don't need to verify a thing. Nen's like, wait, what? Let's just go find Professor Sienna's weakness instead. That's a much better plan, right? Aruki rubs his chin, getting a weird vibe. Wait, I think Siren's actually onto something. He's got that look in his eyes. Siron explains himself. It wasn't the trick that scared me. It was something deeper. A fear I didn't even know I had. Nen leans in. Keep talking, bro. I'm listening. Siron gets dead serious. Forget trying to make them believe in evidence. We're going to drag their hidden fears right out into the light. Eriki's eyes widen. Now he's interested. Oh, I see where you're going. Instead of proving it so they believe, we make them believe first. And times then times we hit them with the proof. Bingo, Siren smirks. It's a total mind game. Nen grabs Siren's face and shakes him. You genius. You're gonna save us all. Get off me. You haven't showered in 3 days. Siren yells. Aruki just smiles. An inverted concept. That's actually brilliant. Aruki points at Nen's shadow, his brain already working a mile a minute. The problem is, if we show them some gross-looking magic trick, even the most superstitious people won't buy it. Can you make that thing move? You know, creepier. Nen, who was getting shoved away by Siron for being stinky, snaps back to attention immediately. Bro, obviously. Check this out. He starts weaving his hands together, sparks flying. If I keep casting lightning shadows back to back. Look at this. Suddenly, a whole squad of Nen shadows appears, all making the same face, jumping and singing like a glitchy cartoon. If I do this 24 times a second, I can make it look like a smooth animation. Siron and Aruki just stare at their sleep-deprived friend dancing with ghosts. Siren turns away, face-palming. No, absolutely not. We are not using that. Araki pipes up. Could we build a machine for it? Nen stops his dance and scratches his head, looking a bit awkward. I thought about that, but there's a catch. I can program the machine and move the projection. Sure, that's the easy part. Like, if someone walks into a forest and a ghost pops out, they're gonna scream, "Ah, ghost." But if someone doesn't react, the trick fails. They'll just stand there, totally calm, and be like, "What's this? Is this just a hologram?" And then we're toast. Siren leaned back, lost in thought. You're right, man. It totally threw me off when he looked straight at me. Right then, a hand shot up. Yo, that was all Aruki, he announced with pure confidence. I'm pretty sure I can handle that problem myself. The other two nearly jumped out of their skins. Wait, for real? You can actually pull that off? Aruki didn't even flinch. He just pointed up and shrugged. Predicting how they'll react is basic, honestly. We're just gonna use some high-level complex systems theory. Predicting reactions. Huh? Siren muttered, trying to keep up. All right, keep cooking. As they talked, a mental image of Siren's boring daily routine played out like a highlight reel. Aruki kept the technical jargon flowing. Once we've crunched the data on their basic reaction habits, we basically just program the whole vibe. Check it if the math says Siren's gonna look left. We make sure a ghost is right there, staring back at him the second he turns. Now, once Siren freaks out and bolts, The system has two moves. Either chase him down or just keep up the creepy death stare. Siren's jaw hit the floor. Wait, you can seriously do all that? Like, for real, for real? Look, everyone at this academy is a creature of habit. It's doable, Aruki said. But there's a catch. We need a massive mountain of data to make it stick. He kept breaking it down. We're gonna need some serious memory storage too. But the real kicker? We need a way to blast this entire program to every single machine at once. Nay rubbed his chin, looking stressed. My lightning mana isn't gonna cut it. It'll fizzle out way too fast. Suddenly, his eyes lit up like he just had a massive brain blast. Nay blurted out, "Wait, Siren, you can do that photoluminescence thing, right?" Siren blinked, startled by the sudden shift. I mean, yeah, I can use light script. Then it clicked. He remembered what the professor said back in the ivory tower, the place with all that cutting-edge, top-tier magic. Everyone was saying photoluminescence was going to be the next big revolution for high-speed data exchange. A total game changer. Siren's heart started racing. Right. Professor Senna called it. Using light as the medium. It's genius. He was getting hyped now. We can actually do this. But Aruki slowed them down. We can build the perfect ghost, sure. But just scaring them with some spirits? I don't think that's enough of a punch. He turned his gaze towards Siron. You've got a backup plan, don't you, Siron? Siron nodded slowly. Yeah, but honestly, I thought you'd hate it. I was thinking of throwing in some psychological mind games, Siren said, scribbling on a notepad. Eriki and En leaned in, curious. Siren started sweating. What? Is it too much? Is it too convenient? We can swap out the keywords if it's too weird. Nay stared at the paper, his face unreadable. No, this is it, Nay whispered. Siron blinked. Seriously? Nay just nodded, dead serious. I'm for real. This is gold. I never even dreamed we could weaponize a presentation like this, Nay admitted. Aruki smirked. If this works, the entire academy is going to be turned upside down. Guaranteed. A total 180. Siren was buzzing with energy now. Really? That's sick. Nay was grinning ear to ear. All right. It's settled then. Game on. Time to split up. I'm heading out to build the hardware right now. Aruki, you're on coding duty. Siren, start prepping that light script. Siren and En were basically vibrating with excitement. Heck yeah. We're actually gonna save this group. Eriki, however, went quiet. Guys, there's one more thing. En froze. Ugh. Not again. What's the damage this time? Aruki looked at his notes with a grim face. I just crunched the numbers for the data transfer. Siren gulped. How much juice do we need? Eriki held up his hands. 3 times the amount we have now. And you've got to hold that output for 10 straight minutes. He looked Siren dead in the eye. What do you think? Can your body even handle that? Siren and En turned ghost white. Siren's voice cracked. 10. He looked completely wrecked. 10 minutes. 10 days later at the ISAS hall, Nay slammed the door open, looking frantic. Yo, guys, I just finished hanging the posters and holy crap. Inside, Eriki was buried in code, literally writing the behavior equations for the entire day. Meanwhile, Siren looked like he'd been through a blender, still grinding his light script training. He turned his head slowly. What's the word? Nay was breathless. The hype is unreal. Everyone is talking about it. They're all saying they wouldn't miss this for the world. Siren wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead. He couldn't believe people were actually coming after seeing those wild posters. Aruki looked worried. Man, putting our names on it might have been a mistake. If the crowd is this big, the workload is gonna skyrocket. We're gonna be swamped. What's the head count? Any guesses? Nay let out a hysterical laugh. I don't even know, man, but it looks like more than half the academy is showing up. Outside in the halls, you could hear people shouting. Aruki, Siren, you guys better not be capping. 17 days left until the Supernatural Soul Research Group's big moment. Footsteps echoed down the hall. Lumina was walking through the corridor, her ears catching every bit of the juicy gossip flying around. You think it's going to be a disaster or a masterpiece? Who knows? But seeing Siron and Aruki teaming up for a presentation? That's legendary. I'm betting my lunch money it's gonna be wild. No way those two do something basic. I gotta see what they're cooking. Every whisper, every rumor, Lumina soaked it all in. As she walked, she spotted a shadowy figure lurking between the school buildings. Suddenly, a voice drifted from the shadows. Is it true? Is that supernatural ghost club actually trying to make a comeback? She stopped, her voice cold. It's not decided yet. Whether that group survives or rots is still up in the air. She stepped closer to the darkness. Word is, if this presentation flops, the Academy is pulling the plug and seizing their lab for good. The voice in the corner scoffed. Please, that group is cooked. Their glory days are ancient history. They're dead weight now. Another figure with short hair moved in the dark. Don't count them out just yet. They've got Aruki, the Savant Syndrome genius, and then there's Siron, the guy who literally took down a dark mage. And honestly, we'd be idiots to underestimate what Nay can bring to the table. The guy just sneered, looking totally unimpressed. Whatever, they're just low-tier students. What we actually need to worry about is the fallout times after times their little show. Meanwhile, one girl keeps walking straight ahead, and just like that, the shadow war for control of the research has officially kicked off. Let's get into it. Inside a pitch-black room, the only sound is the frantic, desperate grinding of teeth. Then suddenly, bam, the bricks in the wall slide apart, letting in a sliver of light that cuts through the gloom. In that dim glow, you can see Siron's face, and man, he looks stressed out of his mind. Teeth clenched, brows furrowed. Pure, raw focus. He's deep in the zone, pushing a high-stakes recovery technique to the limit. He shoves his hands forward, and boom, spiritual energy explodes from his palms in a blinding flash of power. A few moments later, Siron's hands are shaking and drenched in sweat. You can tell he's hitting his breaking point. He collapses onto the floor, looking completely drained. He calls this mental recovery, but honestly, it's more like self-torture. It's a hardcore edge-of-your-seat method to force magic output through the roof right after your mental energy hits zero. You get about 20 minutes of recovery time, and then you just keep burning through it until you've got absolutely nothing left. Usually, one spell takes 40 minutes of non-stop, soul-crushing concentration, which makes this method totally suicidal. Siron checks his pocket watch, thinking, man, if the professor caught me doing this, I'd be dead meat. The timer reads 5 minutes and 32 seconds. Siron's face drops. He's frustrated. TSK, that's terrible. The whole point of pushing himself this hard was to maintain his light magic for at least 5 minutes straight. 7 days until the big presentation. He grits his teeth and makes a choice. He's aiming for 10 minutes now, no matter what. I've got no choice but to keep going until my brain literally breaks, he mutters. But deep down, he's wondering if he can actually pull this off. Right then, Nate pokes his head in. He looks at Siron and winces. Yo, Siron, you still alive in here? You okay, man? Siron jumps like he's seen a ghost. Yeah. Obviously. I'll have it ready before the deadline. Nate just looks at him, eyes actually starting to tear up. Be real, man, he whispers. This goal is way too far out there. It's beyond what any fifth year should even try. And if we fail, our whole group is. He trails off. They both know it'll be a total disaster for everyone involved. Siron shakes it off, trying to play it cool for his friend. I told you, don't sweat it. He quickly pivots the conversation. Anyway, how's your side? You done? Nate blinks, suddenly remembering. Oh, right. I was actually just about to run another test. Come check this out. Siron follows him into the next room and freezes. There's Aruki, rocking massive dark circles under his eyes, writing his thesis like a man possessed. Aruki, holy hell, dude. Siron rushes over and shakes his shoulder. Are you even conscious right now? You okay? Aruki doesn't even stop writing. His hands are a blur, and his eyes are wide and totally glassy. Don't worry, I'll make the deadline. Siron is speechless. Okay, we're all officially crazy, he thinks. There's no stopping this train now. Siron, look, Nate interrupts his thoughts. Siren looks over and his jaw literally hits the floor. Wait, is this it? The prototype, he asks, eyes wide with excitement. Nate laughs. This is the final test for your light magic. I need to see if this light cable Iruki's dad sent us can actually handle the power. Nate hands him a glass orb. All right, Siren, grip this and use your magic. Let's see what happens. Siren does exactly that. He grabs the orb with both hands. Once he's steady, he gives the signal. Ready, let's go. He shuts his eyes and pours every ounce of energy into that sphere. Suddenly, whoosh, the thing lights up like a miniature sun. The light flows perfectly through the cable attached to it. Siren's eyes go wide. Whoa, it's working. This is amazing. Nate's grinning ear to ear. Pretty sick, right? His voice is full of pride. And yeah, it's definitely sick. Seeing that glow, Siren finally feels it. They've actually got a chance. They're halfway to a win. A few nights later, through a miserable, pouring rain, someone's rushing through the mud. It's Nate. He gets inside, shivering and soaked to the bone. He doesn't even dry off, he heads straight for Siren's room. He peeks inside, heart racing. Siren, the presentation is almost here. You ready, man? Silence. It's eerily quiet. Nate calls out again, a pit forming in his stomach. Then, suddenly, Siren's pocket watch slides across the floor, stopping right at Nate's feet. He leans down and picks it up. Nate's eyes go wide. No way. He's practically beaming. Siren, you actually did it, didn't you? Siren steps out of the room. He's covered in sweat, looking like he's been through a war, but he's wearing a massive, triumphant grin. He gives Nate a huge thumbs up. Time to go to work, brother. Let's do this. Finally, the big day arrives. The academy is packed. The Spirit Science Research Group is all there, and the hype in the air is absolutely electric. People are laughing and shouting everywhere. This is going to be great. The booths are slammed, and the energy is off the charts. Let's get it. Snacks, get your snacks. Back of the line, people. A server weaves through the crowd, tray held high. Anpas Academy's legendary peach juice right here, up front. A pink-haired girl is working the crowd, waving flyers like her life depends on it. Grab a flyer. Don't be shy. Suddenly, heavy footsteps drown out the chatter, followed by a voice that sounds like a bag of gravel. Huh? What's with the carnival vibe today? Oh, it's just Sliderm. Back from your 2-month suspension. I see. The guy grumbles, looking totally annoyed. Why is it so crowded? The pink-haired girl slides right up and shoves a flyer in his face. Take a flyer and get in line, please. Mar blinks, totally lost. Wait, what? Thanks a bunch. Mar stares at the paper in his hand. Bro, for real? This flyer looks like a kindergartner drew it. Then, something catches his eye. Hold up. Past the janky ghost drawings. The title is literally screaming for attention in bold letters. The Spooky Science Squad. The terrifying truth behind Anpas Magic Academy. Secrets the school is hiding. Exposed soon. The hook is clickbait gold. But what actually stops Mar cold is one specific name. Arian Siron. That name. He scowls, his blood starting to boil. Wait, this childish presentation? That's his? I thought he was supposed to be a genius. Who would even watch this? Suddenly, Maria, who also just finished a 2-month suspension, peeks over his shoulder at the flyer. She practically squeals with excitement. Ooh, Senior Siren. Let's go check it out. Maria starts yanking on Mar's sleeve like a hyperactive puppy. You're coming, right? Come on, let's go. Mar sighs, giving in. Fine, whatever. Maybe I'll actually learn something. Before he can even finish his sentence, Maria is already dragging him toward the crowd. Line up over here, she yells. Turns out, while they were suspended, the school gave them some special education. Basically, Mar was trapped in a tower and got hit with way more education than anyone ever should. While Maria is dragging Mar to the show, a group of girls nearby starts whispering, and the hype is building fast. One girl with chestnut hair points toward the front, eyes wide. Whoa, guys, isn't that the graduating class over there? Her friend with black hair can't believe it. No way. The elite seniors? Here? Another girl jumps in, desperate for a look. Where? Where are they? Soon, every eye in the place is on Ami and Serial. The crowd erupts. It's Senior Ami and Senior Serial. They're actually here. Everyone's confused. Why would the top-tier graduates show up for an advanced class presentation? Then, someone drops a truth bomb. Duh, Senior Siron is her boyfriend. The crowd loses their minds. No way. Amidst the chaos, Serial is casually feeding Ami a piece of cake. Open wide, sweetie. She coos, totally teasing her. Ami is dying of embarrassment. She can't take it anymore and snaps at Serial. Why did we have to come to this low-level presentation anyway? Serial just giggles, not letting her off the hook. Oh, come on. How long are you gonna play hard to get? We're here because it's your boyfriend's time's big moment, she adds, making sure to emphasize that last part. Ami hides her face in her hands, wishing the ground would swallow her whole. Talk about a massive backfire. Suddenly, the vibe shifts again. The crowd turns toward the entrance. Wait, a Class 1 senior is here too? People are stunned. Why would someone that rare show up for this? Even Ami is confused. Who is big enough to make a top student like her look like a background character? Serial points to a guy in a sharp black suit wearing the school's highest badge of honor. Look, over there. The crowd is whispering like crazy now. Is that Senior Formy? No way he's here for a presentation. Jaws are literally hitting the floor. Wait, that's Hay from the Wave Tech department. And Ken, the guy they call the electronic monster, plus Richard the alchemist and Senior Sen too. The students can't believe their eyes. What the hell is going on today? Is this a reunion or something? It's not just the juniors, even Serial is shaking. Why is the entire Class 1 elite squad here? Ami, though, she's starting to see the pattern. She asks Serial, what do you think they all have in common? Serial blinks. Common? Ami looks at the lineup. Exactly. Rumor has it, every single one of them belongs to that shady group, the Golden Ancient Scroll. Inside the hall, every seat is filled. The tension is thick enough to cut with a wand. Sienna is serving tea when she spots a silver-haired teacher and nearly drops the tray. She's stuttering, totally starstruck. Principal, what on earth brings you here today? She manages to choke out. Principal Alpheus just gives a warm, easy smile and waves. The students worked so hard on this. Of course I had to see it for myself. Sienna quickly snaps into gear, bowing low. Of course, sir. Please, take the seat of honor. Right this way. Anpas sat down with a smirk, looking like a harmless old man. But don't let that fool you behind those squinty eyes. He was busy crunching numbers and plotting his next move. All right, let's see what these runts have for me today, he thought. The lecture hall was absolutely packed, not a single empty seat in sight. People were actually groaning. Seriously? No more room? Quit pushing. Man, Amy just stood there, judging the whole vibe with a massive side-eye. She spotted Mar and Maria sitting together, and way off in the distance, the FMY crew was holding it down. The front row was strictly VIP, only reserved for Anpheus, Sienna, and all the high and mighty teachers. Seeing all the school's heavy hitters in one place made Ami wonder, was there some secret memo she didn't get? Suddenly, bam, lights out. The whole hall went pitch black until a single spotlight hit center stage. Then, the announcer's voice boomed through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, a guy in a sharp suit said, trying to look all professional. He was there to introduce the big presentation on spiritual science. Talk about a weird flex. He raised his hand, showtime. The ambitious spiritual science research team was finally stepping up to the plate. Fast forward 30 minutes. And yeah, it was the exact opposite of what everyone expected. Zero applause. Instead, a literal rain of paper and people throwing serious shade. It was a total dumpster fire. Students were crumpling up their notes and chucking them at the stage. What did I expect from Class 5? They yelled. Total joke. Go back to class. You're wasting our time. Another kid screamed. I feel scammed right now. Ami was frozen, just totally stunned. Serial leaned over, whispering her name. You okay? Up on stage, The tech crew was frantically adjusting the lights for N. "Thanks for coming out today, guys." A voice cut through the noise. He gave a quick intro. "I'll be your MC for this little session. I'm Win, the leader of the spiritual science research team." His voice was pure confidence, not a hint of nerves. Today's topic? Spirits. Down in the crowd, Mar scowled. "Spirits? You mean like ghosts? Lame." But Maria? She was totally mesmerized. She couldn't take her eyes off the stage. N kept going with his pitch. "Just a warning, some of this might get a bit creepy, so watch your backs." As soon as he said that, boom. Every light on stage hit at once. Yellow, blue, red, it was a literal explosion of color. The production value was insane. The whole room went ooh. At the same time, now that's a crowd pleaser. Headmaster Anpas was all smiles. The kids really nailed the tech, didn't they? Sienna just sighed. "I guess." In her head, she was impressed. "Nice idea. Wait, is that 3D? What are they actually trying to do?" Suddenly, a massive, ancient castle-like school appeared on the screen. N grabbed the mic, his voice dropping an octave. "Ever wonder about the stories? The ones from before this school was even built? Let's go back 250 years. He snapped his fingers. The screen flickered to an old, dusty village. "This place used to be a tiny farming village," he explained, painting the picture. But the peaceful vibe didn't last. Suddenly, the screen showed war and chaos. N's voice got slow, heavy. The Great Conquest War changed everything. People had to flee deep into the mountains just to stay alive. Regular folks, and even soldiers who were done with the fighting, everyone went into hiding. Right then, pitch black. Every light in the hall died. The darkness was thick, super unsettling. The students gasped, eyes darting around. "What the hell?" "The lights." N's voice came back, but it wasn't calm anymore. It was creepy, chilling. That's when the things that weren't human, appeared. And then, a blood-curdling scream ripped through the air. The jumpy kids were losing it, faces pale, hair standing on end. Total panic mode. "It's just a show, right? Nothing's gonna jump out," they whispered. Then, a bloody, armored knight stumbled onto the stage. Nam's voice went deep. The knight started growling, flailing its arms around like a maniac. He was covered in blood, looking exactly like a zombie. N explained that an evil spirit had completely hijacked the guy's body. The kids who were just terrified, they suddenly burst out laughing. One guy even pointed and mocked him. "Is that Aruki? What's he doing? He looks ridiculous." Aruki was stumbling around like he'd had way too much to drink. He was groaning and moaning. It was supposed to be scary, but it was just hilarious. The audience was dying. Cariel was laughing so hard she couldn't breathe. "This is too much. It's so funny." Amy just sat there, confused. "Wait, is this supposed to be a scientific presentation or just a bad high school play?" "Yo, check the stage." The story's moving fast. And suddenly, the lights flip to this icy, death-cold blue. That cozy village vibe? Totally gone. Now it's just straight-up eerie silence. Then Nate's voice cuts through the air, and man, it sounds absolutely gut-wrenching. He's screaming for his girl, Olia. "Olia, where are you? Damn it." To avoid the war, he ran all the way here, but he ended up losing the one person who actually mattered. Talk about a brutal trade. He's clutching his chest like his heart is literally being ripped out, looking completely wrecked. Down in the crowd, Maria's gripping her hands together, totally locked into the drama. Seems like our boy lost his soulmate while they were trying to make their big escape. But the MC, he's not feeling it like Maria is. His face is all twisted up like he's judging the whole thing. What is this crap? Isn't this supposed to be a school presentation? He's like, when is the guest of honor actually going to show up? And right then, the person he was waiting for finally makes an entrance. Siren's voice rings out, making the MC almost choke on his own spit. "Noah, I'm here." At Siron's call, every single person in the audience whips their heads around to stare. Under those dim, hazy spotlights, there he is. Siren. standing there in a straight-up gorgeous white dress. He puts a hand to his heart, sounding all soft and devoted. My love. The whole room basically hits the ceiling. The girls are screaming their heads off. Wait, Siron Sunbay. The girls are turning bright red, not believing their own eyes. Is that really the Siron they know? Meanwhile, the guys are absolutely losing it, laughing until their stomachs hurt. In the VIP seats, Sienna's jaw is literally on the floor. Total shock. Down by the stage, Sorel's frowning. He nudges Ami. Did Siren seriously go full girl mode? Ami? She's a statue. Completely paralyzed by the spicy scene unfolding on stage. Serial starts shaking her. Ami, get it together. Snap out of it. Back in the spotlight, Siren lunges into Nate's arms. Nate's playing the part perfectly, grabbing Siren's shoulders all tenderly. Olia, I missed you so much. Siren doesn't miss a beat. Let's never be apart again. Okay? And then, Nate and Siren lock eyes like they're the only two people in the world. Siren leans up. Nate slowly leans down. Oh man, it looks like they're about to go in for a full-on, heated kiss. Maria's face is basically a tomato. She's stammering. No way. Please tell me they aren't actually. The guys are leaning forward, eyes wide, not wanting to miss a single second. I mean, you can't look away now. They've got the whole room under a spell. They're inches apart, lips almost touching. Cyriel's like, for real? And Ami's shaking. In these plays, they usually do it for real. But right at the climax, boom, Eruki teleports in wearing blood-soaked armor right behind Nate. He opens his mouth like he's about to eat him alive and, chomp, bites Nate right on the shoulder. Nate lets out a scream that sounds like he's actually being murdered. Save me. Help. Seeing the blood spray, the audience is collectively losing their minds. Then dead silence. The whole room just goes cold. Suddenly, every light in the building cuts out. Pitch black. Maria is so freaked out she literally buries herself in the MC's side. Okay, that was actually kinda terrifying. Being Maria's human shield has the MC feeling super awkward. Then, a single spotlight hits center stage. Nate's holding an ancient book, looking dead serious. This whole story, he says, it's from a cursed diary we found while digging through the Academy's hidden history. He's all hyped up now. Our team started researching it immediately, and let me tell you, the truth we found? Absolutely mind-blowing. Apparently, spirits turn into monsters because they get infected by pure, concentrated evil from other dark entities. And now, they're just wandering the human world, looking for a body to hijack. The students are starting to get the chills. Nate's eyes get sharp, almost predatory. Suddenly, a massive bell appears behind him. Dong! The sound echoes through the hall. The kids jump. Wait, what? That's the midnight bell. But it's not even 7 o'clock yet. How is it ringing now? Nate's voice goes all low and ghostly. When the sun goes down and the light is completely gone, that's when the spirits come out to play. At midnight, Maria is shaking like a leaf. Our MC? Still got that, are you kidding me? Look on his face. He's not buying the act. Nate grins on stage, looking totally wicked. You guys have never seen a real spirit at midnight, have you? Maybe that's because they only show themselves to the people they've already chosen to haunt. But hey, after our little show, I bet you're a little curious, right? You're finally starting to tune into their frequency. Tonight, when that bell tolls 12, do me a favor, look around you. You might just see one of those nasty spirits lurking nearby. The audience is low-key panicking now. Wait, what? That's messed up. Some guys try to act tough. Total cap, I'm staying in the library until midnight just to prove he's lying. Amidst all the whispering, Nate just shuts it down. Good luck with that. Anyway, that's our presentation. Peace out. The room goes quiet for 3 seconds. Then, every light in the building flickers back on. The hall is bright again. Everyone's blinking like, wait, is it over? People are looking at each other, totally confused. That's it? Just a jump scare and a story? Then, the floodgates open. Paper and trash start flying toward the stage along with a wave of insults. You call this a presentation? This is garbage. The students are rioting. No data, No evidence, just a bunch of weird theater kids acting out. Seriously? You guys showed us literally nothing. We're such clowns for actually trusting Siren and Aruki. I knew it was going to be a total bust. Forget those spirit things. Ami just huffed, flipped her hair, and stormed out, screaming her head off. Straight up cringe. I knew hanging with those weirdos would end like this. Saral scrambled after Ami, calling out her name. Ami. Even the rumored alchemy club kids bailed without a word. Only Phi stayed behind, glued to the seat like a statue. Up in the VIP section, Sienna was sweating bullets. She turned to Anpas, stuttering, "I am so sorry, headmaster." She practically doubled over, promising to punish those brats. Then she pulled a fake-as-hell smile. "I mean, they're the occult club, so it's kinda expected, right?" But Anpas, chill as a cucumber. He just waved it off like it was no big deal at all. "Don't sweat it. But why would they do this?" Sienna sighed behind her hand, wondering if she was an idiot for trusting them. Anfis stepped toward the stage, looking deep in thought. If they were going to flake out now, they wouldn't have started this mess in the first place. "Right, Siren?" Anpheus let out a low chuckle, his eyes gleaming with total trust as he laughed from the sidelines. He turned to Aruki with a smirk. "Did you see their faces? Totally priceless, right?" Aruki nodded. "Oh, for sure." One look at their eyes told the whole story. The confused students, Maria's anxiety, Mars' trash-tier attitude. According to Aruki, the seeds of doubt were officially planted. That mystery pot on stage was going to play a huge part in this master plan. Then, Siren stepped up from the back. He looked at Nede and Aruki. Phase 1? Complete. Siron was hyped. Now, let's show these people what a real spirit looks like. Midnight was creeping up. The elite academy was dead quiet, swallowed by darkness under a creepy purple sky. It made the whole place feel super eerie and just wrong. The clock was ticking. It was already 11:30. Nettie stood outside Siron's door. "Time's up, Siron. You done with that meditation thing yet?" Siren gave a quick nod and stepped out with Nady. Turns out, Needy had been grinding out in the rain a few days ago. He'd been running all over campus on a top-secret mission, setting up hundreds of hologram projectors everywhere. All the wiring was buried deep underground, ready to beam out Aruki's predicted moves to the world. Deep in a hidden basement, Needy crept along, whispering to Siren, "Watch your step, man. Don't trip now." Aruki checked his watch, counting down. 5 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Wait, make that 9 seconds. Can't be early, can't be late. Midnight is prime ghost time. Aruki raised his hand. "Wait for my signal, then we go live." Nide was sweating over the control panel. "You're up, Siren. Everything depends on you now, buddy. Don't miss." Siren stepped up, placing both hands on a glowing white crystal ball. Aruki signaled, and Nito was shaking as he watched Siren. He raised his voice now or never. Siren started dumping massive amounts of spirit energy into that crystal. Boom! The crystal exploded with blinding light. Needy shielded his eyes, shouting, "Whoa, that's some serious power." Even Aruki was low-key stunned. Siren's magic had hit a whole new level after just 1 month of training. Insane. Needy cheered, "That's our boy." But Siren? He wasn't celebrating. Not even a little bit. He frowned, muttering under his breath, "Something's wrong. It feels like I'm pouring water into a bottomless bucket." Hearing that, Nady jumped. "Wait. What? Don't tell me." He scrambled to the controls, screaming, "What the hell is going on?" Aruki was freaking out. "Talk to me. What's the situation?" Nady was practically crying. "The output won't budge. The needle is stuck at 18%. Aruki turned pale. "How? Can you fix it?" Nide was in full panic mode. "I don't know. My math was perfect. This shouldn't be happening."